welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera, and I'm joined, as always, by my two Gaijin co-hosts, Katie.
Hi.
And Livy.
It's completely accurate.
It's quite accurate today. I mean, I'm also Gaijin,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's true. Good point.
Would you like to explain what that is?
It is a Japanese word for people who are not Japanese.
Yay!
And that is us.
Yep. We are very on theme today because we are going to be talking about A Friend in Need, Part 1. Which is set in Japan.
Yes.
So, hence, we have our Japanese sake here, unfiltered, delicious milky beverage.
You failed to mention that this is the finale of the
right.
show Xena Warrior Princess.
This is true. I'm blocking it out.
Part 1.
Part 1. We still have so much more to go.
However, we did watch the director's cut, so it is all just one
It
episode
is just
technically.
It's true,
So-
but you stopped it in the middle.
We did.
It was
Part
odd to
one.
like just hit stop being like, okay,
Yeah.
and
This is where it
this is
ends.
what we're
Part
podcasting.
one.
Yeah.
In the middle of this scene, stop.
Well, before we begin, we have a special guest joining us today. And it is not Rob Tappert.
Oh.
It is the return of Alanis.
Hello.
Oh my god, hi.
Hi, Alanis. We have missed you dearly.
I've been living on a farm.
Oh, no, you... like, you were dead? Like, you were a ghost.
What? I've never understood the in-jokes here.
Well, we're glad to have you back. We hope you like the Xena finale, if you're going to stick around, but I think you're going to leave.
I'm not a fan.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Alanis,
I'll fight you about it later.
Alanis, you came here to do a job. Why don't you do it?
Oh, warm-ups.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Drew DeMello and your son, Lucas Gold. Thank you, Jamie. We know you're not listening because this is the finale.
Oh my god.
But we hope you and your fiance enjoy your rewatch of Xena.
Yay!
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Songkeeper. Thank you, Ash from North Carolina.
Woo!
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Alexander, also known as Vera's dad. He definitely doesn't listen, but we love him. I feel like that was less accurate. I feel like Alanis has maybe lost some of her,
But
her
she's there.
On the farm.
On the farm. Thank you, Alanis.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. Alanis, you're going to be back next week.
Alanis is not going back to the farm yet. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great.
We'll see more of her soon.
Okay, cool.
All right. I think it might be time
To start talking about Xena?
Yes. So with that, I do want to do a little cheers because we are talking about the series finale.
Mm-hmm. We've reached it.
What are we drinking exactly?
This is Tozai Snow Maiden.
Snow Maiden.
Unfiltered.
Premium Japanese sake.
Glory.
Very appropriate. Beautiful, unfiltered white color.
Deliciousness in my glass.
Okay.
All right, guys. Kampai.
Bye-bye!
Hi.
Are we going to be refilling each other's glasses to get as drunk as possible?
I'm filling up my own.
Mostly just because I can't reach where
Yeah.
I can't reach.
Bye. Vera's leaving.
No,
She's feeling it. She's feeling mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Vera.
Thank you.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you.
Love
Silence.
At some point, we do have to talk about Xena. Uh-oh.
I mean, do we though?
Do we?
Like, how was your day?
I was good. It's really nice outside.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Let's talk about the snow.
Did you
Let's
go
talk about
out in your
Japan.
bikini and your little
Giant hat?
butt-kicking pants? Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, we're making it sound like we don't want to talk about this.
No.
We're actually
We
very
do. We're
excited.
dying
very-
to
we're
for
very-
years
we're very
and
ready.
years.
Well, let's begin by saying what is our experience with the finale because it's quite
Okay.
important.
I think this is good
Yes.
to address. Yes. Well, I feel like if you've been listening to us over these it's been almost 3 years, we've talked about how we experienced the show, and that was all wrapped up in how we actually ended up doing the podcast in the first place, which is that, Vera, I won't speak for your live experience of the finale, but you did watch it.
I did. I watched it when it
aired. And then
aired.
2001 when it ended. And me and Liv did not. We watched it very quickly-ish in a row.
2016.
In 2016.
Yeah.
As you may have gleaned.
We probably watched all of season 6 in, 3 days or something.
Right. Very quickly. Which is, we wanted to just talk about, like, contextually how it is when you're watching TV or watching a movie or anything like that. Like, your own perspective and the context in which you're watching it and the way in which you're either experiencing fandom or not is very much going to affect how you react to something. And if you've been listening to us, I think it's, like, fairly clear that me and Liv knew, watching the show, that Xena was going to die at the end of the show. So from the second we started watching it, we knew that was going to happen. And then also, Vera, what did you tell us before we started?
She got pretty specific, as I recall. We knew she died in Japan, and I believe we knew something of the circumstances.
Yes, she has no head.
Right. Yeah. So me and Olivia knew these big facts. So I do want to put that out there as something that qualifies, or not in a bad way, just a different way from maybe the way you listening watched it, the way we watched it. It changes things to know that this is where it's headed. No pun intended.
And at the same time, you feel like, it colored, not just our experience of the finale, but our experience of watching the whole show.
Right.
We sort of could feel the way the show was building to that, in part because we knew that was the ending. Maybe we would have not perceived all those pins if we didn't know.
The many pins. And, just to contrast, perhaps, you're knee-deep in, or actually underwater in fandom the whole time, and you're experiencing the creators and people involved with the show going on message boards, and like I was doing this with X-Files, so sort of in the sense that I could see the showrunners saying things, and then perhaps that didn't happen. So like actually being in the fandom and then having someone like Rob Tappert say Xena's never gonna die, and he did say that. I believe, not quote unquote, but I think that there is an interview where he's like, "Nah, we're not going to kill her."
Do that.
That will change, perhaps, the way you think things are going to go. So I just thought that was important for our conversations. And Vera actually did watch it live, but has her own, and everyone has a unique experience of watching, and it doesn't necessarily all have to be negative. Even though that does seem to be the loudest.
Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of small, like I was in high school or whatever when it actually aired. So my experience was like I was not in the fandom, so I had no idea other than just this is a show I'm watching and this is what happens, and it was so different from any other show that I watched in terms of like this show not only killed the main star, it beheaded her, that I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I had a complete
so much about who Vera is.
And then that's why I was like, okay, you guys have to watch Xena. Not only did they get crucified, she gets beheaded later.
Right.
That was my pitch.
When we say, it was how Vera sold the show to us. Okay. Come watch this cool show where the female lead gets beheaded at the end.
Oh my God, I was obsessed.
We're going to get into all sorts of things, but I do think that it's important. Xena as a show, and one of the reasons that we love it so much is that it is able to dive into so many different genres and do them with such skill. It does comedy, it does drama, it does melodrama, it does musicals, it does horror, it does Married
with Fish Sticks, whatever genre that is.
And maybe, whatever.
This show has everything.
So and then again, as human beings, we all attach ourselves differently to like the stuff that we like best. I think as well, another thing that's pretty clear from the way we've discussed the show over the last 3 years is we really, really love the drama. We really, really love the melodrama. And I, speaking for myself as a person, like I love horror and I have a high tolerance for violence and things like that. So maybe if you don't, an episode like this as the series ender is not going to be your favorite thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty upfront, especially as we've hit season 6, that we love the increase in violence, in blood on screen. Like, we're just into that. That's our sensibility, I think, as viewers. So yeah, that is not so much a problem for us. Though once we actually get to our part 2 discussion, we'll have more complicated feelings about specific choices they've made. One thing that I feel like we should talk about right off the bat before we get into the blow by blow account is just. Now we're in Japan.
Yeah. What's up with that?
This is different from any other
This
finale.
is a show about Greece, like a Greece,
Right,
a Thracian lead.
Yeah.
And we're ending it in Japan. What up?
Yeah. If you look at the previous finales, they're all Greek
Or
based.
Rome.
Deja vu.
Or Rome.
And also Deja vu.
Oh, and
whatever.
Los Angeles.
The Rome of America.
Is it?
Yeah, I guess, Hollywood's like gladiatorial.
Yeah, there you go.
It does, but to the point, Deja Vu does have everybody. It's got Jocks there. It's got Aries. It's got
Salmonius even.
it's got all your old faves. So the choice here was to do something. Maybe I think it's in fitting with the show itself. Like if especially given other 2-3-parters where they go to other places. But to choose to end it by doing something completely different instead of it being like wrapped into a season is definitely a choice.
Right.
We have spent all of season 6 kind of saying goodbyes throughout in individual episodes to the show and the different old faves and people, places, and things. So once we get here, we have kind of mostly...
Yeah. I mean... To me, the choice, a lot of it had to do with the people making the show versus like the actual in-story settings.
Yeah.
Like, is Japan important to Xena? I mean, besides what we find out,
technically
it is. But like before that, not really.
We had that one little piece of foreshadowing in Gurkhan.
I wish there was so much more.
That would have been...
I really was like, when we hit that, and I was like, oh, they're going to be setting up Japan this whole season.
Yeah. And I wonder, because the show has done that in previous seasons, season 4...
Yeah, I was ready for it.
It is, I think, maybe a minus point that season 6 didn't have that thread.
Right. Yes.
And it would have been easy enough for them to do. They clearly knew from a pretty early point that they were going to do these Japanese episodes.
Right.
Although the
movie talk is confusing.
Right.
So we'll maybe bring that up later.
Okay.
I don't know. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, let's just do it now.
Because this feels like a movie.
Yeah, it absolutely feels like a movie. So it's a little hard to follow, the kind of backstage shenanigans. But, they went into season 6 knowing it was going to be the last season. And then perhaps there was going to be a series of movies after season 6. So, TV movies, I think. Or movies?
I think, TV.
Yeah,
movie.
I doubt.
Not like a Fight the Future for the X-Files kind of
Not like Downton Abbey, the movie.
Not like Downton Abbey. Or I'm not sure. Or maybe it was probably thrown out there.
I'm sure
doing it theatrical. I'm sure it was.
If there was interest, I'm sure they would have gone for it.
So, just this idea of there would be a series of movies. And some places you read things where maybe these Japan set ones would be
a movie. One of those
movies. Not the series finale, but the first movie. And then
the second one would be something else.
And whatever happens in these 2 episodes would obviously then change based on the next movie, I would assume, unless they decided to recast Lucy Lawless and Xena was reincarnated as someone else. So that's a little bit confusing because you see, if you go to Whoosh, there's a lot of production tracking and notes and very detailed descriptions of what people are saying at cons, on panel,
Kevin
guests,
Smith was saying he was in the Japan episodes,
and Ted Raimi was saying he was in the Japan episodes, and just various interviews, just notes of at one point, I think there was even a note that was these episodes aren't going to happen anymore or something, and then they're back on again. At this point, it's neither here nor there, but the idea that maybe this was either going to be a movie or if it was always intended to be the series finale, that there might have been something after is interesting to consider. Because if they knew that there was never going to be something after,
might have affected
maybe
some choices.
it would have changed things.
Sure. But going back to like the style and the choice of Japan for this one, it has a lot to do with that part of Xena that is not my favorite, but like the whole Asian cinema aspect of it, which is a huge favorite for Rob and RJ, and like a huge part of this show.
Absolutely.
And so hence like, technically speaking, while maybe like for Xena the character, again, I'm saying this like without knowing about Akemi and stuff. Like when you think about it, like Xena she has nothing to do with Japan really, but for the people who make it, like Rob and RJ, like they love it, and so we went to Japan because of them, really.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, in the same way that we went to China because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think that's also an important point to bring up, is just the fact that this two-parter mirrors The Dead so closely, like in terms of its structure. And I think that's very fitting.
Yeah, it definitely works.
You know, harkening back to season 3, which, you know, was the period when the show kind of stepped up.
And
found itself.
The Dead
became
was
more
huge.
complex, became more ambitious. I think returning to that place where the show first said, I can do anything, like in this, and doing that then for the season finale, I think is the right choice, even if I can definitely see people's argument about, oh, you know, where's all my faves? Like, how can you have an ending that doesn't actually engage with all the things I'm used to from the show?
It's something just to, I mean, I don't know if like personally it's entirely satisfying, but like I accept it. Like it's fine for me. And I certainly get it like as part of the whole, like Rob and all of them, the whole love of that for them.
And I know, as you say, you're not the biggest fan, but like I would love to watch more. Like based on the stuff that we've seen just because of watching Xena, it has caused us to go out and watch movies that we haven't seen, and it's been really fun. So I think that, you know, since this is their show and they're coming from that place of love and influence, that like I fully support them like doing that and bringing these influences in.
Love and influence is a good thing to talk about specifically for this episode. It is a huge homage to a thing that then homages something else.
I love this.
Let's talk about this.
We're about to get into it. Yeah, Vera, do you wanna move us into the blow by blow?
Sure. Let's get into it.
Happening.
It's
All
happening.
right, let's do the official thing.
It's happening.
621, A Friend in Need, Part 1. Story by R.J. Stewart and Rob Tappert. Teleplay by R.J. Stewart and directed by Rob Tappert.
Rob and R.J.
Yep.
This is Rob's first directorial effort since Paradise Found.
Oh, wow.
Your fave.
My fave.
Oh, he's very good.
Very good.
Like, he's
excellent.
a great director, and he's extremely, like, hard on himself.
Did we mention? Oh, we did mention that this is the director's cut we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
We did.
It's a little weird, though, because I watched the regular one.
Well,
so.
we want to be able to talk about them both and the differences between them.
It's very important.
They're different, but they're not that different. But at the same time, the differences are key.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that just means that I didn't take note of all the important Lukes and stuff. As opposed to Lukes, which I did take note.
Before we dive right into it, can we quickly just talk about the title?
Yeah.
Sure, A Friend in Need
Why?
is a friend indeed.
Yes. True. Why is it called this? Is my question.
Well, it's literal.
Who is the friend in need? Yeah.
Everyone.
Oh, mostly us.
Yeah.
Oh no,
and
someone help us.
I know it's not the same, but the friend was such a strong part of that song from the Muppets. The all the way back in like season 2. It has nothing to do with it, but like the word for friend that you haven't met yet.
Oh.
I don't know. Friends. What does that mean? A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Is a friend indeed.
If your friend is there for you in the hard times, that's a real friend. So it seems like to me it means Xena in the flashbacks to Akemi, and then in kind of like the overarching of the whole finale, I would say it's Gabs to Xena. And
I think Xena to Akemi Ghost.
Oh yeah, that's true
as well.
Too. Yeah, that's very much. She gets the call here and she answers the phone.
So I had a thought too where the title for these episodes harkens back to or echoes a bit the very last lines of episode 101, Sins of the Past.
An extremely important episode for this episode.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
It might come up a few times.
The very last lines of the first episode of Xena, it's, Xena and Gabs basically being like, Xena's like, where I'm headed, there'll be trouble. And Gabs is like, yeah, I know. And Xena's like, why you want to do this, la la la. Gabrielle says, that's what friends do. They stand by each other when there's trouble.
Oh, boy.
Xena says, all right, friend.
Oh.
I believe she says, all right, friend.
But that really echoes, I think, that title, and it's just technically an encapsulation of
What
yes,
the show is
yeah,
about.
just
what Xena and Gabs and their relationship has been like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it is true. Wherever Xena goes, there does seem to be trouble. Oh, troubles.
But Gabs is with her.
Mm-hmm. As she says in this episode.
Many times.
So we begin with a campfire scene, okay?
We should note that in the director's cut, we first get the title sequence, but in the aired version,
Yeah, it's later.
to the campfire.
Yep, campfire.
Give the people what they want.
Beautiful, what are they looking at? Like
They're looking at the northern lights, aka the Aurora Borealis. Coincidentally, I looked it up. Aurora is the Roman goddess of dawn, and Borias, not Boreas, sorry, Boreas is not Boreas. Boreas is a Greek name for the north wind, so that's what that is.
That's nice.
But I was like, what the fuck? Where are they to see this?
See it, yeah.
But it has been seen from Greece.
Really?
Yes, so no qualms there.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Well, it's very deep.
Yes,
Beautiful.
and
couldn't you see it in North America?
I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's like a thing,
That was
but
on the news,
right,
but I
right.
couldn't because I live in a major city. And
Oh
that
yeah,
was not
yeah. No,
possible.
it's like but like mainly you want to go north into these like countries that are known for it.
Yeah. Go to Iceland. It's cool.
Yeah, well, you've seen it actually.
Yeah, it was very, very faint though, but it was
Okay.
awesome. Actually, I once saw it from an airplane.
Oh, that's amazing.
Going to Alaska, and it was fucking
Holy
off the
shit.
chain. I
Wow.
Was just, I was pretty young, so I almost wish I were older to like
Oh my
appreciate
God.
how completely bananas that was.
That's like that scene in Gravity, starring Sandra Bullock, where she's like in space, like alone, and then it's like, or she's floating around in space, and she sees the northern lights on Earth, and it's beautiful. Deep, you guys,
Well,
just like the deep thoughts that Gabs is having.
She's having a lot of deep thoughts. I do like it. I like that they're starting this last episode getting real introspective about
Yeah.
life,
where they've
about
been,
the journey.
where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
is-
also love that it's Gabs that we first hear.
Yeah.
First her voice, then just a close up of her, not
yeah.
Xena.
She's
I
the
like
first
that.
voice we hear and the first face we see.
Aw, and then Xena like pops into frame hilariously.
But not undercutting her, which is what you expect for her to laugh.
she
at
never
her.
does that. Oh, well, she
laughs at her
laughs
for her deep thoughts
right,
all the time.
but I always think that she like listens to them and appreciates them, but
Right.
just
And
like
has to
can't
mock.
quite. Yeah,
yeah.
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 She would roll over and like roll her eyes.
Be like,
but
it's time for bed, Gabs.
Yeah.
yeah.
Stop philosophizing, Gabs.
Yeah.
Gabs kind of calls her on this. She's like, I can't believe you're awake, let alone listening to me. So Gabs is just talking to herself.
Yeah, but Xena has been listening, and she's like, you know what? You're right.
Not only that, she almost like ups the ante. She becomes even more like introspective because she's like the bigger now.
Yeah.
She wants to talk. Yeah. She
What
wants to-
are we doing with our lives, Gabrielle?
Wow.
It's pretty big. Pretty damn big, Xena.
She doesn't want to stick around Greece anymore looking for trouble, okay? She wants to go on vacation
There's
and
the
look for trouble
echo
there.
of Sins of the Past.
Looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she wants to go somewhere else and look for trouble.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like Egypt.
Yeah, land of the pharaohs. I hear they're in need of a girl with a chakram. Important little line.
An important little line. Seemingly innocuous here, though.
Well, Gabs is into it, and she's interrupted by some rustling in the bushes.
Okay, before we are interrupted, let's point out this is their last campfire chat.
Oh,
Sad tear.
It is. It is a sad tear. Oh, one element of it that I really appreciate is the way you have Xena's sword in the ground with the chakram hanging
Yeah.
on it, which is such an iconic little
Yeah.
image there.
Yeah.
And just sort of in the background.
it's also like what you would do for a dead soldier.
Right. We've seen Ares position it just like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for
When
her-
Yeah, and
for her
in like
funeral,
world,
yeah.
like in
Ooh.
the wars, like you would take like the rifle and put the guy's helmet on top.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yikes.
It's a little bit of a memento mori there.
Just at the start.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, carry on.
So Gabs confirms with Xena that there's someone in the bushes, basically.
And I love that Gabs knows. You know, we're going to have
Yes.
a lot of examples of Gabs and how far she's come. This is the very first little one, which is that she is not surprised by the presence of somebody sneaking up on them.
She's telling Xena, and then Xena has been aware of this for half an hour.
I bet Gabs hasn't.
Yeah. So the guy makes like a weird noise, so they go out to check it out. This is a monk from Japan. He is looking for one Xena.
So this is so similar.
This is exactly the beginning
The
of the
Dead, which starts with a campfire interrupted by a bunch of warriors, I think.
Well, actually, it starts with like where Xena's asleep, and then she does that thing where she like tries to spoon Gabs, and she's not there, so she goes looking for her. And Gabs is in like this little meadow, kind of like looking at the moon, and then she's like, "There's someone in the bushes," and then there's like a dude who's been killed from China, and he has like the message about Lao Ma, and then a bunch of ninjas come.
Lao Ma, she's like, Lao Ma!
Yes, exactly. So this guy is not killed; he's very much alive.
Very much alive. This is Kenji.
This is Kenji.
Sweet little monk Kenji.
Yes. So he has like a umbrella backpack contraption that's from history. And it is very much featured in that type of character in Chinese Ghost Story.
Right. We have not mentioned Chinese Ghost Story by name, but it is the Hong Kong cinema movie that we think is actually the biggest influence for
this episode.
Yes, it is hugely
despite not being
influential.
Japanese or set in Japan.
Correct.
Right, yes.
Correct. The plot, visuals, a lot of it.
A lot of it.
But
We'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about this movie.
I highly recommend people watch it. I actually had a really good time watching it.
Make sure to see
I
the
think
1987 version, not
there's
the remake.
a lot of versions. So the 1987 version, original.
Yeah. We found a
on
good
the internet.
Yeah, we found a good one on Daily Motion.
It is on Daily Motion.
Directed
It's hard
by
to find.
Su Tung Ching and starring Leslie Chung.
Yeah.
So this guy Kenji, he says he's been sent here by Akemi. And then as soon as he says that, Xena's smile
Face.
totally drops.
Just falls.
And she's like, "You saw Akemi?"
This is a huge missed opportunity, but I guess we're not supposed to know
What's the missed opportunity?
that she's a ghost.
She's been dead
I would be like, Akemi, but she's been dead for 25 years. At least.
At least.
Yeah.
There must be like 30
She's been
something.
dead for 39 years. I don't know. Xena's 70. I don't know. It's the time jump. I can't.
So Kenji goes into a flashback to explain himself here. And this is where we see a lot of the visual parallels between Chinese Ghost Story and our episode here.
So Chinese Ghost Story, a lot of the action takes place in a temple, which doesn't look all that different from this tea house that we now see Kenji go into. It has this long dock extending out of it, and then it's surrounded by that short little pond. So basically, it's the same set.
Yeah.
Which they appropriate for Xena.
Yeah. So Kenji and his buddy Horny Monk,
That is his name.
Yeah, that's his name. Actually,
He literally says, he's like, this is my friend, a horny monk, as you see.
Actually, that actor, Horny Monk, his name is Gary Young, and he currently plays Mr. Willoughby on Outlander.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's who that is?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
He's like a big time. He
Save
works.
that fact for me.
He works.
I mean, he was good here. He was very horny. Very, very horny.
Yeah, so they're caught in the rain, so they try to escape it by going into this tea house. When they enter, they're greeted by like a lot of flowing drapes.
Oh my god.
So many drapes.
It's total eclipse of the heart.
Yep.
Times a million.
And there's
Same as in the movies, yeah.
There's three beautiful women kind of like in the middle of the room, prostrated, they're bowing.
They're bowing. Then we see this a lot. We see Akemi often introduced bowing.
Mm-hmm. And the one in the middle, one might say she's important.
She is in the middle.
She gets close-ups, so
she's prettiest.
yeah. So
Close-ups and in the middle.
yeah, that's important.
She's wearing a pink kimono. Pink is often associated with Akemi throughout
Interesting.
these episodes.
What about the white later?
I mean, that's the one moment that is more like,
Okay.
oh my god, Akemi, why aren't you wearing the pink?
Yeah.
Where's your pink?
So Kenji goes to hang out with her, and Horny Monk goes in straight for the hot tub with the other two.
I feel like it's like Kenji's like, okay, you seem like the sweet and innocent one. I'm sweet and innocent. Let's talk about that in the corner while the other three get it on.
So Akemi...
The hot tub is also from A Chinese Ghost Story.
Akemi, she's playing the koto very sexily, and her shoulder becomes exposed at one point.
Oops.
Tempting.
My rope fell down.
Yeah, tempting sweet Kenji, but then she feels like weird about it and pulls it back up. So that's an interesting little point.
Yeah. We eventually find out that she's kind of being forced to use her wiles.
Yeah.
And kind of doesn't want to. Does not want to on sweet, innocent Kenji.
He compliments her on her shuji, which is like the calligraphy. So she's very good at it, and that's going to be important later as well.
My sister had a really fun fact about this. My sister studies Japanese, and she said that Akemi is always writing with Chinese characters, which is very surprising because women were not allowed to or not expected to. So this is very much her sort of already doing, even though she seems so polite and perfect, she is already doing something that's like a little bit transgressive.
That's interesting. That's how later Xena will carry a katana, and they say women aren't allowed to carry them.
So yeah, you see these sort of connections between Akemi and Xena.
Well, as Borias says, she's got spirit.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, she's immediately being associated with writing, which is, at least a baby Gabs thing.
All right, so Horny Monk, man, he's straight up getting a hand job in the tub. The two ladies who are, like, servicing him are doing a lot of eyes at each other, being like, I think it's time to do something here. And one of them, like, whips out her ankle and has a bracelet with, like, little bells on it. And she shakes it.
Shake, shake, shake.
Bells jingle.
And then what?
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Well, at first you have a vertigo shot on Akemi.
Yes, that was
She's
cool,
like,
I thought.
Yeah, a lot of vertigo shots.
She does like an oh no emoji face.
Something bad is gonna happen. Vertigo shot.
It's
great.
a-coming.
Yep.
And then Evil Dead.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or so we think.
This blew my mind when we watched A Chinese Ghost Story. So I realized there's a lot of complicated factors involved in the appropriation or borrowing of things. This is a very big topic.
Is it homage or is it stealing?
Is it homage? Is it stealing? Is it this? I'm sure we're going to talk about Kill Bill and Quentin Tarantino. I'm sure all these things. But Chinese Ghost Story, so right now we go into what is very recognizable as a Sam Raimi, Rob Tappert, and co-original style from Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, which is like when the camera rushes across the ground to signify bad things are a-comin'. There's a cute little moment in the commentary on the director's cut where Lucy says something where, like, when they were filming Evil Dead, like, didn't Sam Raimi kind of invent this technique because Rob Tappert denied him a dolly.
Right, yeah.
Too expensive.
Because it was too expensive and they had no money. So that's kind of how the DIY-ness of that Evil Dead shot came to be. And A Chinese Ghost Story, which is the movie that Rob and RJ went to for influence for this, is in turn harkening back to Evil Dead and straightforward rips that move and does that move over and over again in A Chinese Ghost Story.
So A Chinese Ghost Story, if you're following, is an homage to Evil Dead. Friend in Need is homaging Chinese Ghost Story, which is an homage to Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So it's a circle jerk.
Yes.
Yep.
Everybody is literally stealing from everybody.
Yes. And it's blew my mind a little bit because I thought it was like a wonderful thing, number one, to have both of these movies and people talking to each other. And it's sort of
it's a dialogue.
Yeah, it's a dialogue.
Really beautiful.
And I think that that's a lot of what the history of cinema is that, because it was always influencing each other. So these are like two very specific examples that are involving the people that are working on this show that we love. But it kind of also factors into like, yeah, Xena as a whole does all this wuxia stuff, Hong Kong cinema stuff, throughout, when kind of the history of wuxia cinema and Hong Kong cinema borrowed a lot from the American Western. And it's a whole dialogue. I think we talked about this early on. So I just feel like when you watch this kind of stuff, it's kind of easy to go like, they just ripped off this Chinese movie. Like, fuck them. Like, stuff like that. But it's much more complicated, and I feel like a lot of it is rooted on both sides in a love of cinema. And obviously, I think it's important to talk about how they're in dialogue with movies more than they are with actual history.
Yeah.
And that is also a problematic as well, because it's that we'll get into that. But like that it's different. So like it's homaging movies, and the way that we like maybe exoticize or romanticize stuff comes from there, which is getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this, but, anyway. This is never a cut and dry issue, but I think it is, you often hear cultural appropriation, but there's also cultural exchange, which implies the two-way dynamic. And I think certainly this example is a perfect one in terms of exchange.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just, while we're in it, let's just be in it. I always find, for me, as a person who loves movies, that when I come across something like this and then I like dig into it and I go, oh, this episode of Xena was influenced by a Chinese ghost story, I'm going to watch a Chinese ghost story. And then it exposes you to something that perhaps like you wouldn't have been exposed to.
Especially because it's really not available anywhere right now in the US.
Like my closest example to this being like, as I didn't watch Xena in the 90s, but someone like perhaps Quentin Tarantino was watching all these movies, my first thing was kind of seeing Kill Bill in the theater and not knowing that Kill Bill had, I knew that it was based on stuff, but I didn't know. But then I was like, all right, now I'm kind of like interested in this stuff. So I think that there's something to be said about the way that cultural exchange makes you more interested in
it introduces you to things, and then you take the initiative and go and explore.
So that's a long story to say. I think it's really cool that there's a ghost story which like has exact visuals that Rob uses throughout A Friend in Need, also like included Evil Dead. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it's clearly how it probably crossed their radar.
Yeah,
like they heard that this movie was influenced by them. They checked it out. They loved it. I love it.
Yeah.
It just makes me so happy. And of course, for us, when we first saw A Friend in Need, we were like, oh, they're doing the Evil Dead shot again. Yawn.
Right. Yeah.
And then we watched Chinese Ghost Story, and we're just our jaws were on the floor that this movie was using the Evil Dead shot. Yeah.
So the Evil Dead shot is to introduce this big old giant head of this monster. It like busts in. It's very CGI.
How do we feel about this effect?
I thought it was like the mayor in Buffy season 3 when he becomes a snake.
Snakehead.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Snakehead.
I don't prefer any crazy, terrible CGI. But I did like
how it has really long neck.
Well,
the neck is the weird part.
Fine.
Yeah. Well,
it reminds me of almost like a Funko, where he's like
it's a giant head.
Giant square head.
No, the head is huge. Yeah. But I thought it was like, while I don't particularly like it, I did think it's really interesting that the head comes first and then the body catches up to it.
Literally
like
zooms back.
And then like the head is proportional again. So I thought that was like interesting.
I mean, it very clearly was like, here is a supernatural monster.
This thing is weird.
It's certainly something we haven't quite seen on the show.
That's a good point, yeah. I was very struck when watching the aired version. And this is, I mean, obviously we had the campfire scene kicking it off. But this scene to me was so like the start of an X-Files episode, a bunch of characters you don't know in a setting, a little creepy, something crazy happens that's supernatural, and you're like, what? And then like time for the theme music. So like, I don't think Xena had ever quite done a scene like this.
I guess it's kind of like a Law and Order as well. A little bit. Randoms find the body.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so this guy, his like body catches up to him, as we said. He immediately is like, "Roar!" And the two ladies who are with the horny monk have disappeared. And he's
convenient.
He Superman like freezes him and then sucks in his like soul.
I didn't actually look this up, but I feel semi-confident in saying that this is amazingly the first time anyone has ever died in a hot tub on Xena. I can't believe
Xena didn't die first in a hot tub.
But I think it is true.
first hot tub death. Yes, it's true. So he sucks him up and eats it like nom nom nom, tasty.
Okay, that's
weird.
not great.
That's very odd. What do we think of his look?
Oh, his face.
The makeup?
Yeah,
I like it.
I think it's cool.
I'd do it for Halloween.
I don't think
That'd
you
be
should.
problematic.
That'd be
I think
okay.
you should. No.
Don't do it.
I like it. I
think it's
think
cool.
Rob has said he wishes he didn't do it. That's been stated.
Yeah.
Well,
post.
I mean, Rob is extremely hard
so
on himself for
critical.
like the stupidest things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, that director's commentary. You just keep saying stuff. I'm like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
No, stop.
Yeah, I think this guy looks really cool. And they're doing a specific type of
Yeah, he's
makeup.
meant to sort of have that, sort of Japanese demon quality.
Yeah, and it works. To me, it works. I would prefer that versus like him wearing a mask the whole time.
Yeah, I guess my only frustration, and maybe
Or
this
them
is
trying
just...
to animate a mask. That would be worse.
They probably couldn't get away with that. It would be cool if you had the funds to do it.
It would look terrible
yeah.
with their CGI budget.
I guess I wish, this character seems intriguing. He's, spoiler alert, Akemi's father. I kind of get how Rob is frustrated with him just being a caricature and wants to see sort of the human behind.
But he's a
I
demon. He
understand
literally
that.
became Lord
Have
Yadoshi, demon of the underworld.
who look human, who are creepy in a performance
Whatever.
way.
That's an important point. So like the reason that he didn't like it and wishes he could do it over again, but you can't, is that it is distancing. And as you say, he is a key relation and a key part of
You're
the
supposed
story.
to think that he's a demon in life without the makeup.
Yeah, he clearly is meant to be.
Yeah.
He's not a great guy.
But we never see it.
So
We
they
never
both
see
have
it,
the same.
We'll just take their word for it.
We'll talk about it. Maybe we shouldn't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting to have him be because demon in life, demon after life.
Yeah.
Having the same face.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
I
think
just think
for-
the makeup looks cool. I don't think it's as bad as all that.
As
he
Rob
makes it
makes
seem.
it
Yeah.
seem. If anything, I just wish they had fewer effects for him. Though
Sure.
that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
Right. Less effects is always good.
Turns into the little pixel chunks. And
Yeah,
flies away.
I don't need that. I don't need the tongue.
He always, guys, the best thing he always does
Well,
is
at least
that
it was
he...
like a Chinese ghost story.
Oh, we did not
God.
need that tongue. That was scary, though. I was afraid of that tongue.
Okay, but he's very considerate because whenever he busts through the wall of the tea house, when he leaves, he always fixes it.
That's very considerate.
That's very considerate.
What a nice guy.
So Kenji freaks out. He runs away, and then Akemi finds him outside hiding in the bushes. She says that this monster is the Lord of the Darkland, and he's preparing an army to wage war on Higuchi and slaughter the populace and enslave their souls.
There's good music here.
Yes, good music. There's good music throughout.
Yeah.
Jolo is on fire.
Oh man, it's incredible.
Maybe literally.
I hope not. So Akemi implores Kenji to go west and find. He's like, what? A samurai? A priest?
A bird?
A god?
A plane?
And then it's you cue this dramatic lightning on her, and she's like, a warrior, princess.
She also has the katana.
She has this katana.
Look
It has a
something.
red handle.
Going to be important. Yeah, the color red throughout this episode is important. So note the color.
Yes.
Yes,
So
I like how the fade from the katana to the katana.
right, that's in the director's cut
Only in the director's cut.
because then you get the credits.
You throw
in
to the credits after a bird, a plane.
A warrior princess. Yes.
Well, it's a good fade.
Yeah.
So what happens in this scene in the director's cut?
So this is a new scene entirely. The whole scene.
Right, the whole scene
Yeah.
is new for the director's cut. So if you haven't watched it, we recommend it.
I can't stress enough. I honestly cannot stress enough that even if you hate the finale, it will help you if you watch the director's cut. Because as Liv said earlier, not a lot is different, but there are some bonus things that just enlighten some character stuff. And then there's a chronology thing that we'll get into in part 2 that is just, it is just so important.
Yeah.
So anyway, I really buy it. It's on Amazon. It's watch it.
Director's cuts are very important. This I similarly recommend watching only the director's cut of Alien 3, not the theatrical version.
Oh God, yeah.
It is
that's like a whole other thing.
Extremely different and extremely
important. If the
important.
studio takes your movie away,
right? But I mean, like that's like the most like extreme example of like how a director's cut literally creates a different movie.
So you're also talking about too. I believe the final runtime of the director's cut is 100 minutes or 101 minutes, and they had to, for broadcast air, cut out. They had to cut it down to 82 or 84.
42 each.
Yeah. So you're talking about 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, of
that's
stuff.
So much.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It really.
And then
really
if you look
helps.
at any kind of like DVD set, all the deleted scenes are always like important character moments.
Yeah, and everybody starts
so
screaming about it,
sad.
but like it's true. Honestly, like some of this is character stuff, but some of it is actually just chronological plottiness that really fundamentally changes something very important in part 2.
Yeah, it's actually interesting, and you know, I appreciate this about Rob, that when he has to trim for running time, he doesn't trim the emotional stuff. He trims the logistical stuff that makes the plot make sense. He's like, all right, that can go.
Well, that's interesting.
And usually it's like the plot stuff that stays.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's like, oh yeah, the eye sex, gotta keep that in there. Let's cut to the scene where just Akemi and Yudochi explain everything that's happening. Okay, it's gone.
Yeah. So that's tactically great and actually different than how most things operate. So anyway, so in this scene, what is happening? You have basically Gabrielle, as in every other instance that this has happened throughout the run of the show, kind of turn to Xena and go like, I didn't know you've been there. What? You know, and even as recently as 10 episodes ago, we had the Norse trilogy, where a similar thing happened as well.
Yeah, Xena didn't even bother to pause and tell her about it.
No, she left her a fucking note and ran. And this was, I think this is really important too, because this is this season, of this show, as recently as this season. Anyway, Xena's face in this scene is really good. She's already, on the verge of tears, it looks like.
She looks
to
so
me.
vulnerable.
She's really upset. But Gabs is like, I didn't know you were in Japan. And did she say Japa? Should we kind of talk about that?
I think she says the land of the rising sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
She says the land of the rising sun. And then Xena's like, I love this delivery. She's like, yes, I was there. I was there. It's very dramatic. You know it was bad.
You know shit went down. Yeah, honestly, Gabs doesn't even need to ask any follow-up questions.
There's a silent reaction shot on Gabs, and she just visibly swallows. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but it's just like a gulp. Gulp? Oh shit. This shit is happening again.
I love Renee.
I do too.
I feel like, she's not going full, full jealousy here.
This is very important.
She's a little hurt, and just shocked because, she shouldn't be shocked anymore because this literally keeps happening to them, which is, Xena's like, that's right, Gabs, I've been to the moon. She's
like, all right. I feel like, okay, maybe this is where we start getting into it, because one of the things I think that you do see if you dig in online and in fandom and criticism of the finale, and this is going to come up over and over again, is that it feels out of character. And one of the things that comes up is that there seems to be a lot of deception of Gabrielle from Xena. It even comes up from Lucy Lawless herself in the commentary, which is interesting.
That's interesting.
And then, so for sort of this stuff in particular, number one, like you were saying, she does feel a little hurt, but by the end of the scene, Xena's like, if Akemi calls, I must go, and Gabrielle's like, wherever you go, I'm by your side, and Xena said, I knew you'd say that. That echoes throughout the episode. Yes. Off the bat, number one, you can see with this episode's ties to the debt how far the relationship has come and how far Gabrielle has come, because she was just a little jello bitch as
green as
Lime
her
green.
little top.
Bilious.
Yeah, as bilious green as her top.
Like, and also feeling her, like, that was a whole, I mean, just, I'm being a little, what's the right, facetious? I don't know. But, like, she was jealous. Jealousy was a part of it. There's a lot going on. It was season 3. It was the end of the rift. It was a lot of stuff.
Mid-rift, yeah.
Middle rift. Yeah. So many things were happening. Crazy times, etc. But here she's just, the way she reacts to, number one, more revelations from Xena's past, and then, like, the entire revelations as they are revealed is very mature and very wonderful, I think. And I don't think that it's weird that Xena has never told her about this part of her life. I think it's okay for Gabs to feel a little hurt. I think that's human. Renee has a great comment that she's like, well, no, I was just like, I'm reacting to, here is my quote unquote friend who is hurt, and I can tell that this is by the way that she speaks about this, that it's a huge trauma in her past, and it does not seem to me to be something that would come up in either casual conversation or as something that needed to be revealed. And again, I do think that, like, even as recent as like 10, 12 episodes ago, you had her whole Nordic thing that Gabs didn't know about. Like, it's not strange to me that this is something that Gabrielle is finding out now.
And it also feels, I mean, when you look at the show and the fact that Xena has never taught her the pinch throughout the whole show. And that Xena's taught her a ton of stuff. Like, why hasn't this come up? I love that actually, you know, this is a kind of a blank spot in the story that now we're filling. So I feel like it's set up in a way that this is a secret that needs to be revealed. Yeah. I also think it's important, like, you know, in the callbacks to the debt, you know, so much of the debt is about Xena in the end kind of like trying to leave Gabs behind because Gabs is kind of slowing her down. And you know, being frustrating in her jealousy, and like the fact that just is not Xena at no point in this story, as opposed to even the Norse episodes, like she never leaves Gabs behind for her own good until the end, but that's for other reasons we'll get into.
And then so it's interesting. So I don't really have a problem with this. And then, you know, in a hypothetical universe, we were kind of talking about earlier, a season in which this was set up a little bit more, then maybe we wouldn't have this, like, similar to as we've done many times before. Here's the thing that's happening now that is in my past, this new thing.
Never mentioned it, but it's a thing.
If it was a little bit threaded more throughout the season, that would be interesting. It's not what we have, but that, you know, maybe, I don't know, that would help some.
Well, I cling to this idea that, you know, why hasn't Xena just sat her down and taught her the pinch? Like, this is in a way a lingering mystery that now can be solved.
Yeah. Okay.
We're on a boat, motherfucker!
Hey, look at us now!
There's a glorious helicopter shot of this boat. And
is this just Rob's Folly painted red?
It looks super red.
They definitely, like, they try to rework it for, like, a Japanese style ship.
You kind of see almost the flag in the way they do the sail.
Yeah, so this is just, like, it's definitely not like a Greek boat anymore or whatever.
No.
It's definitely supposed to be some kind of Eastern influenced boat.
Yeah, there's a lot of mise en scène on the boat.
Yes.
I also like that it's red again.
Yes.
Important color.
We see, from the helicopter shot, we see two people in the, damn it, I forget what the name of the front part of the boat.
The prow!
Yes, they're sparring, and then you go into, like, a closer shot, and it's Gabs and Kenji, who is a monk, but why is he shirtless, hunky, sparring with her?
Oh my god, why isn't he? Why wouldn't he be?
Like, that is not his character at all before.
That's a good point. He seems like such a,
He's like,
a sweetie.
I'm a book nerd.
I'm
What's
just
happening?
a simple monk, but also...
And then he, like, rips off his shirt. He's all like, let's go, girl.
I don't mind it personally. You go, Kenji. You work what you got.
So they have these, like, bamboo, like, swords that look like katanas. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the first thing you see.
Also, the first thing you see is that Gabs is wearing... I don't know how to describe this look.
Blue.
It's very sort of, like, drapey. Like,
bikini.
It's a bikini with some, like, frills on the boob part.
Yeah.
And then, like, a bottom part.
And a bottom part.
Yeah,
The costumes are very strategic in this episode because she's pregnant.
Right, but also, as you know from Star Wars: The Last Jedi,
What?
high pants, that's a
That's
Japanese
true.
thing.
High
So, like,
pants
high-waisted
is where
things.
it's at.
So her
Yeah.
her thing goes above her belly button.
But it also has, like, it's not even that it goes above her belly button. There's, like, a little, like,
Almost
they
just
just
like
put,
a
like, a
cardboard
square
piece,
thing.
yeah.
That they, like,
to be fair, I never was looking at that until you pointed it out.
Oh.
Like,
But they
We're
don't do it in other,
sorry.
they don't have that in other scenes, like, in the flippy-doo sequence, acrobat sequence. She's just wearing, like...
Right.
yeah, she's
So
wearing
back in her
normal
like,
shit.
not, like,
Yeah,
costume.
it's just.
I don't think
yeah.
she's
just
really, like...
I don't think this
boatwear.
was necessary
Standard
unless
boatwear.
it's like less action. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They were concerned, I guess.
But anyway,
whatever. She was
so
like 4 months
he's-
pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you could really tell.
Yeah, but I guess
that
like
much.
people know her abs so well. That
Yeah,
it's
right.
like,
We know.
Where did they go?
you're like, what?
Contours.
What's happening?
I love that just the bikinis on the boat thing. I just love it.
Are you talking about Xena's bikini?
Both of them.
I'm not
are
ready to
fabulous.
discuss
She's
what's
not
happening.
ready to discuss
All
Xena's.
right,
Let's
all
talk
right.
about the way of the sword.
Yes,
Okay.
Kenji is filling us in on some samurai stuff, important samurai stuff.
Virtue, discipline, and honor. Important concepts for the samurai. The samurai would rather die as a warrior than live as a coward. Mm-hmm. An important line.
Yeah. It is. Also, they're doing some shots here.
Some shots, like
No,
shots,
not
shots, shots.
No, shots. Some camera shots.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Like, we can talk about that line, but I wanted to talk about just I love the slow, like, movement that everyone is doing with these, like, very deliberate, like, practice that they're doing. They do this thing where the camera is indeed dissecting the shit out of Renee O'Connor's body.
Yeah, definitely some male gaze.
But
I don't think it's. I don't think it's male gaze. You saw her little hairs.
I think
That's true.
It's a
men hate body hair on women.
I mean, there's a little. I mean, there's obviously part of that because it's very sexy. But I love that. You know, this is a part of her training. You know, the way when you sort of take the show and look back at her at the beginning when she's this like tiny innocent babby, like in the finale, getting these sort of like real close-ups of like these muscles and like her becoming this very like thoughtful fighter. Is great. I don't. And even talking about my own bid, like like these shots were like really important to me. Like in that
what is this vid?
Move your body.
Okay, just letting everyone know.
I can link to it. But anyway, I guess I think it's on Vimeo. YouTube is mean, and it also I like the way that it is paralleled in part 2. So it's important to note.
Yeah,
and I feel like the slow motion of
especially
it
that shot of
calls
the
it
foot,
out.
right?
Her foot sliding. Yeah, it's really cool. But
Yeah, and it's also interesting that a lot of these shots are happening while, because she asked on the boat, she asked Kenji, "Can you tell me a little bit more about Akemi?" So he's talking and saying all this stuff about Akemi, and then we see all these shots of Gabs.
Yeah.
I also love that Xena's just watching.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Xena and her hat are sitting there,
And
very
her sword,
very
which is
awkward.
really
the
funny.
sword is fine. The sword is the sword.
I just love, I'm sunbathing in my sun hat with a samurai sword.
I'm sorry. The sword is the least ridiculous part of that shot. It's the normal thing. The rest of it is absurd. Number one, she's sitting insane. Like, she's sitting, like, model shot. Like, do you want me bent or twisted? Like,
They seem to be mad about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
In the
it's
comp.
very ridiculous. It's a completely,
It does not
like,
look comfortable.
it's entirely core work. Like,
Yeah.
it's not comfortable at all.
But her legs.
Her legs are gorgeous. I
love the black.
The hat can go to hell
Oh,
with
no.
Lord Yodoshi if he was allowed. But, like, yeah, that hat could go away.
But perhaps that was what was available on the ship.
Oh, I was gonna say on the day they were like, "Yeah, Lucy, throw this hat on."
Mosquito netting
Yes.
hat.
Yeah, I mean, we know Zeta loves a hat, but geez Louise.
Yeah. My least favorite part is just the little tie under her chin. It's so distracting.
Oh my
I literally
God.
could see nothing but that little bow under her chin for the whole scene.
So she's...
So it was a scene became like slightly about the hat.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the thing.
really.
The hat is
There's
just
always
there.
a problem. I feel like we probably talked about this a lot
Yeah,
in season
we
1.
learned this from like a Stargate episode.
We learned it from Stargate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're wearing a very big hat, the scene is going to become about the
The
hat,
hat, yeah.
regardless of
Yeah,
what
what
the
is
hat
going on, yeah. So, finding out about Akemi, Kenji says that she was forced by Yudoshi, the Lord of the Dark Land, to seduce souls into his grasp. She's very beautiful, and P.S. she's a ghost.
Oh my god.
Gabs is like, record
What?
scratch.
Yeah.
It is. And
Yeah.
she kind of looks at Xena.
Yeah. This is also where he fake cuts her head off with the sword because she
right.
stops paying attention once he says ghost, and then
Ooh.
Xena snaps to attention at this info.
And she's like, gotta fill you in.
Yeah.
Fill you in on some stuff.
Yep. She's
And this
like,
is I love that. Yeah,
Yeah, see.
Xena's like, okay, I gotta tell you some stuff, and Gabs is like, okay, let me just, get my own sun gear in place before I sit down next to you.
that is straight up her emotional support parasol for this scene.
Yeah.
So they sit in this 2-shot, and it's all Gabs's boobs are just there.
Yes, they are there.
So if you can, it's split into two. So you can either look at Xena's giant hat or Gabs's boobs.
Those are the choices.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Your eyes can't just go on one into the other.
But luckily, we don't have to look at this for long. Because
Yes,
we
thank
launch
goodness we get into a flashback. Yes. So Xena begins her story. She says, many years ago, Borias.
How many years ago?
Well, I was going to say 10, but it's
She
not.
can't say 10 anymore. There's just no fucking
Yes,
connection.
so
Neither
she's
does the
many
show. I'm sure,
years
37
ago.
and a half. I don't know.
I'm sure there's some kind of chronological bad that's going on. But
At this point, there
we'll
always
figure it out.
is.
Yeah.
So they're in the east. It sounds like they're in Chin.
Yeah.
And Borias heard of this young girl who was kidnapped by a Chinese warlord. She was snatched from a mighty island even further east than Chin.
Okay, so first thing we notice here, the first thing we really notice here is Xena's look.
Yes. The way that the flashback launches is with these ink transitions.
Yes.
Which are beautiful.
Really beautiful. So yeah, the first one we see is just black ink.
Yes, exactly.
Spreading through water.
Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous.
Very beautiful. Obviously links back to the writing that we saw Akemi do.
Yeah. So yes, let's talk about Xena's look here. It's Xena and Borias stepping into scene. Oh my God. I am I need a moment.
How delightful is it that Borias gets to be the one familiar face?
Right?
To come back for the finale.
I love it.
I love it. It's crucial. It is fantastic. And I am just so in love with this.
Yes.
I love their many layers that they're wearing. They're wearing so many layers.
I thought you were going to be like the many layers of their
So
relationship.
was I.
Well,
They're so deep. I love
they're
them.
very deep.
And then you were like,
guys, come on.
furs.
Their
wearing
furs
a
are
lot of
huge.
clothes.
Yeah, they're wearing
They're
so many
They're
clothes.
so complicated and intense.
Oh, just like her dreadlocks.
Oh, God.
I'm going to throw out a coin for them.
I fucking love her hair in
she
this.
looks
This is one of my
cool.
favorite hairs
Well, I
for
love
her.
just that, you have the opening shot of her, you tilt up from her boots all the way up to her face, and she sort of tosses her head. Yeah.
In slow-mo.
In slow-mo. The hair is going.
I use that in my vid.
You can bring up your vid as well.
My vid is quite important.
You're
Yeah.
looking at me.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. We're just pimping our vids.
Got another one for later.
Yeah, it's quite a look and quite a couple.
It is.
Quite a couple. So this, like we said, the chronology is a little bit fucked. But it's clearly after Chin because Xena is healed.
Yes. However, it is very confusing because Borias only wants 10% of this ransom that they want for Akemi, which makes it seem like she's in more control of the army.
I don't know.
So therefore, it's a little weird. Yeah.
It seems like it's definitely before Sin Trade, though. So that's the closest we'll get to trying to pinpoint where this is at.
So they're here to inspect Akemi, who they want to purchase from this guy. And then they want to ransom her to her very rich father.
And I love that Xena's first line as her past self is to just ask about the money.
Of course, that's
going to be
all she
very
cares
consistent
about.
for these flashbacks.
Yes,
that
yes,
Xena
yes.
is money driven,
Yeah.
which I think is a little bit new for her. power we've talked
She
about
literally
a lot.
wore money on her
She wears
costume.
money on herself. And yeah, she was a pirate where like money was what she
she's
did.
obsessed with
But I
it.
feel like usually it's like for a greater end. Here it really just almost seems like
Well, money buys you armies.
Yeah, money.
But like bust in, going like, I
Conquer
want to
the world.
conquer the fucking world.
Yeah,
that's
from
true.
here to Britannia.
But I really appreciate just how money driven she is.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. Extremely in character. So we see Akemi there on the floor. She's, again, doing that thing where she's bowing, prostrating herself. Her kimono is extremely specifically, beautifully laid out all around her. It's wonderful. But
It's like a flower.
Don't think about it too hard. Like, who's doing that for her? Don't think about that. It's just accept it. It's pretty.
Once again, it's that pale pink color that's often associated with her.
So Akemi, without lifting her head, knows that this is Xena, the warrior princess.
Yeah, that's cool how she just knows.
Yeah. And Xena, like, swaggers up to her and lifts her chin with her boot.
It's such a good detail.
Oh, I'm obsessed with this.
As usual, Xena has no
love that
respect for respect.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No.
And she's surprised and, like, delighted that someone's heard of her.
Yeah,
she's
this
really
is the first
into
time
this.
that's happened.
Oh, yeah, I want to know the backstory there.
Yeah, how did Akemi
I know, yeah.
get her information?
So Akemi says that she's heard that Xena is afraid of nothing, and she immediately, clearly knows how to play Xena.
After the warlord who's keeping her hostage threatens her, she says something like, "You won't kill me.
Yeah.
Xena won't let you. Because in her heart, she knows she will soon love me."
And Borias says,
Whoa.
Borias says, Xena loves no one.
I love that
Yes.
moment so much.
Yeah.
And I
mean-
love Xena's reaction
Yeah,
to that.
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, his line delivery of that is perfect, and
Yeah.
then her like snarl at him.
She has like a scrunchy nose, like,
Crunchy.
But yeah, I mean, what's great about it is Borias is joking, but he means it.
and he also
Yeah.
knows about the Ring trilogy where she has no love for anyone.
I assume that comes later, right?
Yes, it does.
Because it feels
Well,
so
that's, like,
much
after
a reaction to
Borias.
what happened
Yeah.
to Akemi and
Borias,
Borias,
yeah.
obviously. But yeah, I feel like that's so par for the course with their multi-layered relationship that Borias would make a statement like that, and he does mean it. Xena, at this point in her story, doesn't really understand love.
No.
But Akemi will help her to understand it.
Akemi has a 5-year
Will
plan. She has a 5-year plan. She's like, I'll be your student, Xena. You'll take me with you. You'll teach me everything you know.
She said, "What?"
Yeah. Akemi did it first.
Whoa. Okay, so you're meant to, as a person in the audience, go.
Yeah.
Right, you are meant to do that. It is, of course, what Gabrielle says to Xena in Sins of the Past. You have to take me with you, teach me everything you know.
One might say this is Gabrielle's line.
It is
not Akemi's line.
It also comes up again in her, most important episode of the show, One Against an Army, where it repeats in her delirious state.
Right.
With
It
also that
repeats
prophecy
quite
bit.
often. It repeats quite often in their many
montages.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's her line.
It's her sliding door moment. Like Gabrielle, like she chooses to go with Xena. Like
Right,
she didn't
that's true.
choose.
That's the
then-
moment.
Yeah.
Right. So you are meant to, they do it word for word on purpose so that you recognize it and you understand that this has happened to Xena before. And this girl is asking her to be her mentor.
This is where I feel like, any fan who was feeling a little territorial about the presence of Akemi gets really territorial now.
Yep.
Because not only is Akemi flirting with Xena, she's flirting with her from a very particular Gabsian stance. She has Gabs qualities.
She writes poetry.
Yeah, she's a proto-Gabs.
She's seemingly sweet. That's kind of her
Sweet.
effect.
And the show is dropping this in the series finale.
The series
Whoa.
finale. I feel like I've been bringing up the commentary a lot because it's a little bit fresh in my brain, obviously, for preparing for this episode. But this and what you were saying about, the fan reaction and sort of being territorial about Xena and Gabrielle's relationship, there was a very interesting, I thought, exchange between Lucy and Renee. I don't know if it was about this part in particular. I think it might have been a little bit later, but I am reminded, so I'm talking about it now, where Lucy kind of stated, here we are in the finale, and the finale to her was outright saying, jazz hands, look, Xena had a girlfriend before you. That to Lucy, this was the show being like, I was in love with this woman, she was my girlfriend, and you are my girlfriend. And they were being upfront about the subtext in the finale in a way where I think that the finale goes very far. Some of the furthest stuff that the show has done. Yeah. But it still could be read in the same way that they've done things with her many other previous girlfriends.
I know, I'm
that she has had.
Lao Ma is fairly upfront too.
Yeah, so I thought that was like an interesting thing from Lucy's point of view, that like to her she saw this and went like, wow, we're gonna like come out and say Xena has a girlfriend. That's, bananas. And then for like Renee said something.
Renee said she didn't see that.
She didn't see it that
She
way.
thought Akemi was her special friend, just
her quote unquote special friend.
Gabrielle was her special friend.
But it was more. But she was more talking in the way, not to say that she didn't think that she was his girlfriend, but like that they always play these characters as to quote Lucy in like, I think she was being like slightly silly, but like to play it straight. Like they're given the material and then they play these relationships, and then the subtext is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think it is all very overt in this episode, maybe more so than with other Xena past girlfriends, but
it was pretty overt with Lao Ma.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I was kind of like,
they've flown fucked
like sort of.
They had the underwater kiss air transfer.
I'll give it to like. I feel like when you have actors making statements, like they don't kind of like. A lot of them don't remember the intricacies in the same way that a fan would. So I thought that was interesting and a little bit like surprising to be like, whoa, here we are saying Xena has a girlfriend before Gabrielle. I was like, but you've said that many times before.
For me, also, there's the thing where, when you're on set playing it, maybe you do, quote unquote, play it straight. You just play what's on the page. You play against whatever the actor you're acting opposite with is giving you. But then when you're watching it as a viewer, and maybe this is what was going through Lucy's head watching the episode while giving commentary, you're like, oh my god, it's so gay.
Yeah. Right. And to just have to back to the point, have Akemi be like, and she's gonna love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just and there's no anything else. She just says, and she'll love me.
Flirtatious.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I really love how the actress is playing these lines.
She's so good.
Because, I agree.
It's, she looks so sweet and innocent, but each of these lines is just so openly flirtatious. Mm-hmm. Like she's already deduced Xena's love language, which is sort of the language of teaching and learning. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Yeah, I love this performance. I don't think I appreciated it as much when I watched it the first time. In part because Lao Ma, like these episodes feel so much like the Debt that you kind of want a figure like Lao Ma, that sort of towering presence. And I think
woman
Michelle
versus a girl
doesn't have that. Yeah, she's much younger and more innocent and kind of gives that vibe off. But then underneath the innocence, there's this other thing, which I think is so interesting.
Yeah, in this relationship, she tops from the bottom.
Yeah,
Can we do that blanket statement just to make everyone aware that like I feel like I've run across a thing where it seems hard for people to like realize that Akemi and Xena are not that different in age. Like
They're
probably
not?
closer in age than Gabrielle and Xena.
Well,
Xena
for sure.
is probably like 20 years old in this.
Right,
flashback.
So the dynamics are different because the actresses are obviously different in age, and Xena's playing a flashback. So there's a dynamic that's visual in the sense that, like, yes, Lucy Lawless looks older than Michelle does, but you have to be like...
But her swagger is that of a 20-year-old.
She's playing... She's playing... You can tell she's playing younger Xena. She's, like, amazing at it. And
I like this distinction of younger Xena versus evil Xena.
Well, I've always been like I know I use evil Xena because in some cases it's
Rob
sort of
does
the easy way, but I
Rob
think past
Gabrielle.
Xena, 10 years ago Xena, these are better descriptors.
How many years ago is this?
Not Xena.
But it'll always be 10 years ago.
Yes, exactly. It's always, no matter what, it's 10 years ago.
No matter how much time goes by.
Yeah. So, okay, sorry, you were saying...
I think that the power dynamics in this relationship that we will watch play out are fascinating. with these two characters, and that I think that it's slightly important to be able to realize that they're fairly similar in age. That you're not looking at someone who's
I forgot about that.
15 years older.
Yeah.
And
but obviously Xena is more worldly.
See that. She is more worldly, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know
but then
how
again,
much more.
I think
Akemi's got a lot. We'll find out.
Akemi, I think, wants Xena to think she's more worldly.
But like define worldly, like literally being in different countries.
Right.
Xena has
She's been places. Doesn't mean she knows.
But then again,
things.
Akemi's in Chin right now.
Right, so she's been in 2 places, and presumably Xena's been to Greece and then Chin, so they're equal.
Yeah, so you see, there may be a little bit more, equality happening than I think is given credit.
Yeah.
All right, so the guy who's trying to sell Akemi, he gets like rough with her, and then Xena kind of like steps in and shoves this bag of gold at him, 50 pieces of gold, and she's like, I'm going to buy her, and the guy's like, no deal, and he calls his guards.
I love Borias' reaction to all this because he's just sort of distantly amused, like,
my God.
Why are you doing this, man? You're just gonna get yourself killed by Xena.
This whole thing's incredible. The staging of this is phenomenal. Okay, so Xena, quick as a snake, puts the pinch on this guy, and Akemi's like, he falls right next to Akemi, so she's just like watching this and being like, whoa.
And this is such a classic Gabs thing where Akemi isn't doing anything in the scene but watching.
No.
But the things that are going on her face as she watches are so important for
Right.
the scene. Yeah.
Xena fights these guards. She takes them all out. Meanwhile, Borias is standing there having some tea. The whole scene, it is incredible.
He's just getting his drink on.
Oh, I love it. All right, so once the guards are all taken care of, Xena marches back to the guy, and she begins the whole spiel about the pinch and the 30 seconds, etc. But then she's like, whatever.
I love she just gives up. She's like doing the countdown. And
she's like,
forget it.
Yeah, exactly. So the guy's life runs out, and this is like a really big deal.
We hardly ever see people dying from the pinch, and whenever it happens, it's shocking.
We saw it. So it's important to say this happened in Destiny when Xena first saw Malila do the pinch. She was like the same thing. She was like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Teach me that.
And there was the guy she killed right there from the pinch that we had.
I'm
those
glad you
shots
brought
of
up
him.
Malila because the pinch is such an important, crucial part of this episode and this like learning and teaching, and I feel like it's really important to not lose that.
I also thought the scene coming up with
important.
Akemi and Xena on the boat is, in part because the setting is the same as the scenes with Malila.
Yeah, of course.
And they had, this weird hostage-captor relationship, too.
Yeah.
So, it's important to remember that Akemi is an analog figure, not just for Gabs, but also for Malila.
All of Xena's girlfriends.
All of Xena's girlfriends.
Who are girls, unlike Lama, who's a woman. All right, so this is a huge moment now where after this guy dies, Akemi reaches her hand to Xena.
Take my hand.
Yes, and Xena pulls her up and takes her with her.
It feels like a crucial moment. And of course, hand-touching close-ups is very much a Xena and Gabs thing.
Yeah, this was like very similar to like, for instance, the Bittersweet when she takes her hand and pulls her through the waterfall. Because they got a freaking like close-up of those hands touching. Yeah.
I mean, it's the pulling up Gabs onto the horse moment.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's the correct version of this.
I'm fine with it.
I guess we could put a pin to this for the end of the episode.
Okay.
Borias then leans down to this dead guy, and he's like, "You should have taken the gold, actually, then that's when he really dies. And his last thing is to smash that teacup, which is an amazing moment. Thank you, Martone.
Yeah, clearly just at Martone.
Like, it's perfect. I fucking love Borias.
I mean, I love that he's just such an agent of chaos in these flashbacks, because he really is just
He's not really doing anything. I wouldn't say he's an agent of chaos.
He's just there to LOL.
He had the
that's
idea.
what I mean.
Yeah.
He
was his idea.
Oh, yes.
Lucy / Xena is like driving the action, and Martone / Borias is really just there being like, she's awesome. Like, watch her work. jerk.
She's a little tornado, yeah.
Remember when we saw Martone in LA when we went to Xena retreat? That was
bananas.
Insanity. I just thought I would bring that up.
Remember?
Blessed by Martone.
I mean, yeah.
And then Vera, I know we talked about this before, but I feel like just to take a break from the episode for a second, like we came back and other Xena retreat attendees hanging out. I was sitting at the table and Vera's like, he's that guy, Galadriel's husband. And then like literally 10 minutes later it was like, he's Borias.
Right, first you wanted to talk about the debt. The other debt.
Yeah. So I was
movie he's in that is called The
he's
Debt.
Galadriel's husband, then he's in The Debt with Jessica Chastain. And then like, oh my God.
You just had a break from reality.
Oh, he's just such a different person
It
to
was
me.
just weird to be
now
going to
versus
Xena
that.
retreat
Yeah,
and like
seeing
you wouldn't
a
expect to
Xena
see
character
Borias
who we
getting
love.
like a nice fancy
We've done all the Borias eps at that
salad.
point. Yep. Talking to his agent on the phone. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, back to this. So cut to this shot of the dolphin doing a flip in the water.
You always need one in a raw
That's such a metaphor for Xena. She's flipping with joy right now.
And as
she
you
got
remember,
a good
water
deal.
is Xena's element.
Yes. So she's on a boat and she's so fucking pleased with herself. There's an amazing shot of Borias staring at Akemi.
Yes.
I think that's in the director's cut only.
In the director's
yes, yes.
And it's basically a stare down.
Yeah.
Kind of. They're sizing each other up.
They know. Borias knows Akemi is up to something, which I love. I love that he knows.
Yeah.
Because he too sort of is, often trying to manipulate Xena and failing.
I mean, at this point, yeah.
I think if anything, this is him recognizing a real player. Like,
oh yeah, big time, big time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great moment. Yeah.
So Xena shares her big D with Borias, her dream.
Yeah, I'm glad she doesn't say destiny.
No, but it's exactly the same destiny.
They're on a boat, so maybe she's feeling a little nostalgic.
She's taking exactly Caesar's ideas here. She wants to conquer all the land.
She even mentions Britannia, which, is a Roman colony.
Exactly. She wants that. And she thinks she can get Akemi's father as an ally to have a toehold on Japan, or Japa.
So she's kind of getting big for her britches here. It's gone from a simple ransoming to something more.
Exactly. And then Borias says, "What makes you so sure she'll lead you to Daddy?"
To Daddy.
Daddy.
To Daddy.
And then Xena smirks and says that Akemi wouldn't lie to her because she worships her teacher.
And I love this. Then there's a cut to Akemi who's sort of sitting there all sweet, like writing her poetry again. Yeah. And she looks up and just has this great, slightly raised eyebrow, which I feel like says it all. For the viewers, like, she's sweet, but don't trust that.
And then Borias says, "Ha ha ha ha, you couldn't teach a dog to bark."
I love your Borias. I'm so glad he's back.
Xena then whistles at Akemi. So the dog metaphor continues for the rest of this episode,
Good point.
And she's like, "Come here, girl." And then Akemi comes, and then she tries to teach her this crazy, like, self-defense combination
she's
thing.
She's such a bad teacher because she just launches into a long, wordy description. And I was like, so wait, are you doing the fainting or are they doing the fainting? I had so many questions.
I thought she did that thing of, like telling her exactly what she was going to do, but then changing it. Right, but then she didn't.
She didn't even change.
No, she did exactly what she says, and then she just Akemi failed at.
It seemed like the deal is she was teaching her not to trust what people say before fighting.
Exactly, and so she definitely Akemi fails at this, and Xena kicks her in the ribs and sends her flying.
And what is Borias' reaction to this, Vera?
He says, "Ha ha ha ha." Xena does a little angry face about it, and then she says the same lesson that Deep Throat said to Scully: "Trust no one."
Yeah, that's Xena's own lesson. Yeah. She's such a bad teacher, doesn't even listen to herself.
No, it's really wonderful. That's pretty perfect. She jokes on Xena.
So they get to Japan, and Xena and Akemi row to land while Borias stays on the boat.
This is so funny because Borias, at least in the director's cut, seems to roll away, he rows away on a little dinghy.
Where is he going? point?
He jumps up. He's like,
What?
don't forget about my 10%. Bye.
What? Here he's just like on the boat and then they leave.
The way it seemed to me is that he
That's
was
so
going off
weird.
to do his own thing. He was out of the episode,
Yeah.
and he just wanted you to know. It was very odd.
I was really taken by the fact that he asked for only 10%, which to me implied that thing about like how Xena would controls
army.
more of the army now. Like, why is he only getting 10%? Like,
is
that's
also just
crazy.
He seems
Using-
okay about
yeah.
it. He's like, just don't
Whatever.
forget about my 10%. He's like, he seems totally cool with that amount.
It's such a small amount, and then he's like,
I know.
Ha, 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 good luck, teacher.
Well, it is like, what is this plan in which Xena, without any, like, they lead an army, and yet Xena has no guards.
Yeah.
She's just her and Akemi trekking through Japan.
Yeah.
Like, the whole plan is pretty ridiculous.
It's a little weird, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Borias knows this is going to go south and is, getting out of things before they get too hot.
Very true. So we're on mainland Japan. Important music cue here. It's the Alti music cue from Syntrade.
I thought maybe because Borias, who is in scenes with Alti, it's not his first episode, so it is confusing.
I mean, yeah, it's very specifically Alti, because you hear that,
Yeah.
and you're like, Alti? Is it here?
But we'll talk about Syntrade some in part 2. So.
I thought it was because
Yeah.
it's cold. And there's snow.
they're
Syntrade
back
takes
in the
place in the
firs.
cold. There's mountains.
Yeah.
And of course you jump to souls being trapped in limbo.
Right. So there are
We don't know that
elements of Alti.
Supernatural
Precisely. Yeah, the
ghosts
supernatural
fighting
Yes.
ghost
Yeah.
spirits.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a little. It's not
There's
quite.
overlap.
I don't know. They
Yeah.
were like, man, music cue. We need one. Okay, Alti.
Yeah. And it's just in terms of the mood of it. It's it's ominous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that being included, because that was really supernatural and in the sense, even though nobody has, there's not as many as special effects and
Right.
stuff. I find one of the things
there are.
too
Remember
that,
Spider Gabs?
Yeah, I do. You're right. I just all of the sudden with these episodes, all of a sudden you see some criticisms like, this is so wild and it's so unlike how the show has ever been. Like, how could they do this? It's like, it's too much. It's just, I'm like, what are you talking about?
What?
It's like
Spider Gabs exists.
Like, it's just, we're in a different, we're in a different place.
that's
let's just
important.
talk about that for a second.
Yes.
Like, we're in a different place. We're learning about a different system. We're learning about different beliefs, different monsters and demons that exist, as opposed to things that we've seen in other cultures. But for some reason, I wonder why, put a pin in, that for some reason this particular situation seems to have a lot of negative feedback as opposed to other supernatural situations that they've been in. So I think that'll come up more.
So Xena and Akemi are walking through this really beautiful, snowy Japanese forest. I loved it. Rob in the commentary seems to be like, "Wow, it's so stupid."
He's too hard on
he's
himself.
ridiculous.
The snow looks
It looks really nice.
fake.
I do love
It
that
looks
it's
good.
in winter versus
I agree.
summer.
Yeah, it has a very specific lonely quality, which I think is perfect.
And
the
Japan
feeling
had
of-
a Winter Olympics, so there you go.
Okay.
Again, that feeling, of cold, that winter as a setting as opposed to summer, definitely it feels more correct to the episode. But I also feel like just in terms of a basic understanding of a lot of imagery that I know as a person watching more mainstream movies and Japanese cinema, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah, it's just
There's a lot of
beautiful.
snow
It's
involved
beautiful.
in that aesthetic.
It's
so
actually
it makes sense.
it's winter in the flashbacks, but it's not winter in the present day in
That's
Japan.
true, yeah,
So
we
they wanted
get
to
both.
differentiate.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Xena, going back to the dog metaphors, is pulling Akemi on a leash.
Oof.
Behind her, Akemi's kind of slow because she's complaining her ribs still hurt from when
kicked.
Xena kicked her.
We know how bad those kicks are.
Yeah, and then Xena says that the next lesson would be a little simpler, like listening. She says every sound, every movement is a message. like a wagon passing or like a deer grazing.
Yeah, I love that she says what is she listening to? She's listening to life and death. I also love, like, this is a conversation in which, Xena is eventually going to go on to say, this isn't a peaceful sort of listening. This is active listening. This is, like, she's at war.
She's at war, yeah.
Yeah, she says that every sound could be a possible warning of an enemy approaching. But the look on her face as she's doing the listening here is serene.
No,
Very serene, yeah.
She looks
Smile.
very peaceful.
Yeah. Akemi brings up the concept of the kami. Because
This is now we're getting into, some Japanese religions.
Yes,
Now
let's
we have
hear
some
it.
Shintoism coming in. That nature has a soul, or many souls. She explains that the kami are the powers behind all nature. And she says they brought the two of them together.
Whoa.
Romantic. She tells Xena that she believes that one day Xena will listen to the kami and that they will help her know peace. It's a very beautiful idea. We'll see if that's gonna hold true.
Then she gives Xena a present. It's a scroll with her Tumblr poetry.
Oh. What do we think of Xena's reaction to this present?
I love
Yeah.
it. She holds it like
holds it
like
wrong.
she holds it the way that you would hold it
If you're Western, yeah.
if you're Western, like a normal scroll. And Akemi has to like put it vertical because that's how
I
it is.
love her gentle correction.
Yeah, and then Xena says, "It's pretty." Like, to me, that translated as like, "Oh, the trees are
get it,
pretty."
yeah.
Yeah, I have to say something because she's giving me a present. Not that she like fully understands what's happening here. Akemi explains that when her people are overcome with feels, they write some poems.
So, okay, what is Akemi's first poem?
Yesterday, the moon took lodging on my sleeve. Today, I have hope for even the broken-hearted stars.
Aww.
To me, this weirdly reminded me of the of Practical Magic.
Wow.
You know that line, Katie?
Yeah, when she's doing the thing.
Yeah.
But there is no man, Jilly.
Yeah, sometimes when the wind is warm or the crickets sing, I dream of a love that even time will lie down and be still for.
That lie down and be still for it sounds like Akemi.
It's so Akemi.
This is not my favorite one of her poems, but it's nice. Gabs likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabs really likes this one, especially.
But she's clutching her emotional support parasol.
She is, but I think she's
it's being absorbed into the spokes.
And I think she's being very deliberately kind.
And supportive. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, she must have loved you very much to write that.
You're implying a tone that doesn't exist.
I can see it. TBH, I
don't
can
think
fucking see it.
so.
I think it's like borderline there. It's not quite, so she didn't run off to like whatever, like how in the debt. Like that was like super lime green. Here she's like, okay, I'm secure in a relationship and I have just found out about this woman.
Right.
It makes me feel a certain way, but I'm cool with it.
I
being
feel
very
that
supportive.
too. I think part of being supportive, it's not.
Yeah.
You can feel a little like, oh my god.
Yeah, she's a human being.
My girlfriend loved someone else, or rather,
absolutely.
someone else really loved my girlfriend.
She loved another writer.
And not only that, she's gotten poetry as a present before.
Now, did she use those as
and
toilet
then she
paper?
gave me some poetry. What does it mean? Is this all about Akemi? Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. So the camera zooms in on Xena and she reveals that Akemi broke her heart.
Gas. But all you can see is the hat.
Yep. It zooms in on the hat.
Her face is so good.
Her face is great, and thankfully it's so close that you can't really see the actual hat. It's just like a thing behind her.
You definitely see the little bow
Do you
under
want
the chin.
her to get sunburned?
She's just never worn quite a hat like this before.
They're very just out there on the boat, you know?
Oh
They don't
my
have
god.
sunscreen. Like that time in the episode where she like puts her hand like down her leg in a method that made me think she was rubbing sunscreen into her leg.
What?
And I was like, wait a minute, that's impossible. They don't have sunscreen.
Oh my god. So we're back in a flashback now. And
Vera, in the aired version, do you have this voiceover where Xena says, "For a while I didn't understand myself. But then when I traveled to Akemi's island seeking the ransom, I was to learn my heart was seeking something else.
No, you do not get that
I
at all.
thought that might be news.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some extra excellent director's cut voiceover.
Well, that director's cut is truly implying like
my heart was
quite a
seeking
relationship between them. Jesus. Like, my goodness. All right. So instead of taking Xena to her daddy's castle,
Daddy.
Akemi has brought her to her grandfather's house for a blessing.
And this place looks fucked up.
Yeah.
Xena's pissed. It's like many, many days in the opposite
Yeah, she had no idea this was going to happen,
and
and she's very upset.
And this is also a great reminder that, who's really in charge here? Akemi is just leading the way.
Yeah.
Even though she's on the leash,
Yep.
it's pretty clear what the dynamic is. And Xena is losing ground very quickly.
Akemi claps her hands, like, ceremonially, and she starts doing a religious ceremony.
Yeah, this is again some Shintoism.
Xena is extremely pissed, and she takes her sword and she threatens to behead Akemi with this like very specific like the why I oughta like bang zoom to the moon
she really does
kind of thing.
Like, this part is so confusing to me. Because, she, like, very audibly unsheathes her sword and says, why I oughta.
Yeah.
And then Akemi, like, moves her hair away from her neck to show that she knows what Xena is about to do and is making it easier for her. And Xena is so shocked by this somehow that Akemi knows what's going on.
Right.
And I was like, she could hear you. You were very loud. Like,
right, but she doesn't expect her to like move her hair
so.
to be like, here's the neck, do it.
It's
you
Akemi
know?
Submitting like that.
Yeah, and she doesn't like want that, you know?
Yeah.
Like the whole point is
She
to
expects
punish
people to
Akemi and So that moment is really good. Like I really love how she moves the hair with her fingers from the neck. It matches the music cue in the beginning when she played the koto and like the fingers through the strings kind of thing. It's really it's like the same thing.
And I love that it shuts Xena down so thoroughly that Akemi can literally just go back to her prayer and finish it.
Yeah, and then she kind of explains like what she's doing.
Yeah, this is some ancestor worship. She's seeking blessings from her grandfather.
Yeah, and she says that like just like how you can hear like all your shit, like I can hear this, and so like let me do this thing, please.
Yeah, I love that. In the same way, I hear sounds that are silent to you.
Yeah,
very nice line and nice delivery, I think, by Michelle.
So then once she's done, she says that her grandfather approves of Xena as her teacher. Okay. And he also says that she needs a new sword.
Yeah, he's like, your sword sucks.
And then Xena says, she gets like defensive. She's like, there's a string of widows from here to Greece that say different. And then the way she says widows sounds like she says weirdos.
I know, the string of weirdos.
Which honestly, it does not make sense. Probably a lot of weirdos who can testify.
And then Akemi's like, compared to a katana, all other swords are toys. So now Xena wants one.
I love she hits her hat.
Yes. She gets like a little bit abusive there. It's good.
Get me one.
Good thing there's a katana shop like right over there. Let's go to it. And then that's where she says, FYI, women aren't allowed to carry katanas in this country. And then Xena's like, well, they're just going to have to get used to it.
I feel like after Akemi says that to her, Xena's like, okay, hold on a sec. I'm going to put my bikini on for maximum, like...
you don't think it's under there already? You don't think it's there underneath?
Mean, it's probably there. But I do think it's very noticeable that after Akemi says that, Xena enters the next scene being like, I'm just a girl. Give me your sword.
Is it kind of like the first time in this show that kind of thing has come up? Like, they haven't really run into...
chauvinist issues?
Well, just this episode very particularly is, like, down with the patriarchy, but also, like, it's more complicated than that, because Akemi is trying to kill her dad, and, like, but, like, I feel like Xena hasn't had any issue in other places where... It's been like, you can't even carry a sword because you're a woman. No. This is like the first time.
Yeah, that's even the first time they mentioned it.
She has never encountered that.
They didn't even have that in Shin. We did encounter stuff with
Lama. Secretively.
So they've only sort of put this on Asian countries.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that bad?
I'm going to throw in a coin for it. It's interesting.
Meanwhile, I should throw a coin in for the world because
the world stinks.
That's how it was everywhere.
Yeah, that it definitely could have been brought up more in Greece itself.
All right, let's discuss this katana shop here. I fucking love this setting. This is kind of like quite like influential. Not that's a weird word, but like this was something I really imprinted on me
when
big time. Yeah.
This is, I think, one of the, just in terms of like the direction, one of the best sequences in the whole finale. I think it's really well done. Yeah.
We have some shirtless hunks creating katanas, the smiths.
That's how it works.
Yes, they're very muscly.
Very muscly.
Gorgeous
working
dudes.
Very hard.
Yes. We have like a master sensei dude there as well. We have a lot of like sparks going in the background for like no reason.
And a lot of beams of light.
Yeah.
Shooting
the sparks remind me of like, remember Agathon's like workshop?
Yes.
So same kind of thing, but not as red.
It also reminded me a little bit of the Norse. We had a fight like this with sparks flying.
Oh, yes, when exactly.
Xena forged the ring.
Right, exactly. So probably some reused little bits of stuff.
They have some sparks.
It's gorgeous expertise. Here. So in comes Akemi. She has like a little parasol with her. Is that a reference to anything?
I assume it's a reference to the movie Lady Snowblood, which I feel like seems tied up in Akemi's story. It's nowhere near as direct a reference as the Chinese ghost story stuff.
Well, Lady Snowblood is to Kill Bill what Chinese ghost story is to this episode.
Yes. So if you love Kill Bill and have not seen Lady Snowblood, you absolutely have to. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 1973.
Yeah, 70s.
Extremely 70s.
Awesome.
You know, has that sort of pulpy exploitation thing that you also see in Kill Bill. And obviously, you know, talking again about a circle jerk, like, you know, Zoe Bell, Uma Thurman's stunt person in Kill Bill. The Xena connection is there, and I think Lady Snowblood is here in the finale, and also in Kill Bill.
And so she's here in the finale where she has like a specific vengeance quest. Akemi has one, and Lady Snowblood character in the movie carries a parasol with a sword, the katana in there.
Inside. It's like really fun.
So here comes Akemi with this parasol. So I'm like, to me this was some kind of reference to that movie. Yeah, I mean, I think they wanted to do some crazy stuff with this parasol that Rob said that they never
float
did.
Down like Mary Poppins.
That's stupid. So I'm glad they didn't do it.
For some reason, I just really wanted to like contextualize. Like, obviously, Kill Bill and all that stuff is like relevant, but it is. The reason I feel like it is important is that it is only like 2-3 years later that it comes out from this.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little.
And Quentin Tarantino is like on record as being a fan of Xena.
Yeah, but obviously he's been doing like this. Kill Bill is not his first movie. He's been doing like other kinds of references before that. But it's just they're so close together.
But that's his first like kung fu reference movie.
So it's just like 2001 versus like 2004.
So whatever Xena did it first.
It's just like they're so close together.
Xena did it first.
They feel connected to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Akemi, with her parasol, enters and issues a challenge to the sensei on behalf of her master for possession of this cool red katana. And the sensei thinks that this master must be like a mighty samurai to issue such a challenge. And then Xena makes her entrance.
Oh boy.
And she's like, she takes off all her furs and gets in her bikini.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, so take off all your... And she's like, oh no, I'm just a girl in search of a really good sword.
I love it.
I fucking love it. Well, I don't need the line, but I love
even the line.
So this is like one of my favorite Lukes for her. I had a pin in it, but I think I also have like another pin for later in this episode. Well, not in the next part,
okay.
But okay. So I'm just gonna go off and say that to me, for some insane reason, this look reminded me of the Aaliyah music video for Try Again, which is the song for Romeo Must Die, starring Jet Li.
Okay.
So it is kind of similar, but it's that specific fashion sense from like that time period of the like ladies in bikinis, but they have big pants.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what this is.
Bikinis with big pants. I thought you were going to say you love those fingerless gloves.
I mean, well, those are like wrappings, like the boxer or martial arts wrappings. She has them on their feet too. But yeah, the bikini and the pants, I'm into it. Yeah. And the big hair as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
The hair is doing so much work
in
this scene.
It's so good. This fight is incredible. Wait, what? Part of it died? Her hair died?
No, like
is
died?
It like
different colors?
Oh, part of her hair is dyed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got scared I was confusing you with Clark for a second.
Clark?
Remember when she had the hair? And
Clark from The 100?
Yeah.
It's similar.
Like, am I just thinking of that?
Similar.
And then I was like,
you're hitting all these very important points of my life from this time period. So like her hair is a big like matted mess, but like stylish. Mm-hmm. And she has these like dreadlocks, which are problematic. We already put a coin in them.
We did.
But you said the word.
But they're colored red.
Yeah, okay.
So they do stand out.
It's like they match the episode's theme color.
Right, yes. Yeah. And I was like obsessed with this.
Are you going to explain what that means? Is there a pin for the color red?
Not really.
Not really.
Well,
okay.
What do you think it means? It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah. Red. Well, it's a very fascinating color.
Lady Snowblood.
Is Snowblood like
white and red.
White and red.
Yeah. I mean, red is a danger color.
You're right. It's just a cool color.
Yeah.
It is like the wedding color in China.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So. It has a lot of thematic.
It's just it's just cool, and it was really
it's here.
Wait, what?
I'm just glad it's here.
Yes, and I think it was really specifically like of that time period, like late '90s, early 2000s. Like it was kind of like there a lot.
Red streaks.
Red streak, like it'll come up again. We'll talk about it I'm putting a pin on this conversation for the next episode.
Okay.
But her like dreadlock being red is really cool, and it's like I used to have like one thing that my mom let me have was the like one like bleached streak in my hair, like Ryan Graff from My So Called Life. But like at the end of My So Called Life's first and only season, she dyed it a different color. I want to say it was like orange, but maybe it was like faded red. And I really wanted that, but my mom wouldn't let me have that.
Just the
yes.
The bleach.
So I was like very obsessed with like the kind of red being like your big highlight type of thing. So I loved her dreads. I loved this whole look. And everything about this fight scene was incredible. Especially with the sparks going.
Yes.
Just, it's so good.
Yeah, I feel like the mise en scène of this scene is really great. I also just love, it's set in this katana factory. So you have like the blades across the table.
Yes.
And the blades coming out of the walls. So just like literally blades are everywhere.
Everywhere.
And
right.
that's why she's naked.
Right. Yeah. Rob said there's a reason for it. Right, guys? And
but I agree. It's because her body is so exposed and you're just seeing so much skin near all this steel. It's a lot scarier than if she was covered by all the fur.
But also like the guys themselves are shirtless. It is hot in there. So like she wouldn't want to be wearing all her like furs. It would like be cumbersome for her to fight. Yeah, exactly. So
I also love that she comes in with a sword, her own sword. Immediately the katana master just like goes at it, cuts off the blade, and she's like, oh, and then she's like, gimme, I want yours. But what's great about this is she goes from like the fair fight, sword on sword, to being disadvantaged. She's fighting bare knuckle,
right,
and just kicking.
That's why she has those wrappings.
So I love that she's this outsider who's now being put kind of on the back foot.
I want to talk about some lines that happen here. So the sensei, when he sees her, is like shooketh that the challenge came not from a big old samurai master, but not only a woman, but a foreigner. So a xenophobia is happening. And then she's like, ooh, I guess you're just going to have to teach me a lesson. Why is that so sexy?
I know, it does sound a little bit like the S&M is about to begin.
So they fight. She fights all the hunks.
This made us think of Kill Bill, Katie. We were
part?
quoting Oranishi's line after like slashing the bride across the back. She's like, "Oh, silly little Caucasian girl
playing with
likes to
samurai.
play with samurai swords.
Yep.
Which, it's the movie calling itself out.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the bride wins. So, not only that, but like Lucy Liu like apologizes for saying the thing, which I thought was really funny. It's just like that thing I said before where I called out your cultural appropriation. I'm sorry. You can appropriate in peace. Okay, now I die.
Oh my god. Oh boy.
So she fights all these hunks. They do this big thing where they like impale her on some spikes on the wall. This is all specific to like explain why, like, the reason why Xena has this scar that actual Lucy Lawless has on her like boob area,
Which I feel like you hardly even see,
I've
especially
never
in the later
seen it.
seasons.
I've seen it.
I've
It's
never
there early
noticed
on,
it,
it's more
and nor did
noticeable.
I ever go. You know what? I need an
I need to
explanation for
know.
that.
Yeah,
Like-
it seems like an odd thing to make note of.
It's
But
just fun.
yeah.
So then the sensei guy tries
I
to
like
kill.
it.
I mean, how often does Xena get wounded and actually scar? So
Right.
I know she should
appreciate
be
it.
like all the time.
And it was because it was on the,
boob area.
samurai sword, like
Yes,
katana blade.
right.
And then later, that's why she has like the breastplate to prevent her from
Yeah.
getting
Extra
like these
vegetables. Yeah.
So this sensei guy tries to kill Akemi, and then Xena swings in on this like chain to rescue her, and she takes the sword.
And I just like, that I'm still stuck on this scar thing now. I'm just making it like work. Where, obviously you go back and you see it. So they've added a thing where now you go back and you see it and you can go, oh, this happened before that, like right from the beginning. It references it. So like when you're rewatching, you go like, oh my God.
the scar.
But also I enjoy the thought that something so tied to the series finale is something that left a scar on her body.
Yeah,
Like that's,
Yeah.
that's
You're
interesting.
right. That
like
seems
that.
meaningful. Again, like even though we get that it's a retcon, the way that the show finds, ways of making Akemi seem meaningful for the entire run of the show, even though she's never been mentioned before. But
Which is fine.
yeah,
It's fine.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Later, we get a campfire scene between the two of them.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's cold. They have
How
this cozy
dare- I'm just kidding.
campfire. Yep.
Cold.
I love that Akemi is writing this next poem in the snow.
Right. She doesn't have anything to write it on
Yeah,
other
I
than the
thought that
snow.
was a very, very poetic idea because obviously it won't last. It's just this ephemeral snow poem.
She says, in a flurry of snow, two breaths of wind unite and become one, and then disappear into each other.
Sexy.
That is a lot. So, like, if you talk about subtext becoming text, that's pretty big. Immediately, Xena's like, hey. Hey, listen,
I know this is a campfire scene.
you're a nice kid.
Oh my god.
And I really love this sword, but I really just came for the ransom. Not the nookie.
And then Akemi's like, nope, you love me. And Zena's like, okay.
She's like, yeah, you're right, I do. I mean, that's basically what this is.
Well, okay, let's put it in contextually. Previously to this, Xena's only had strings of horrible male relationships.
And Lamau.
Lauma was her
And
first.
And
Malila was her first flirt.
That's true.
Yeah. They didn't know
Lauma
yeah,
was her first kiss, and maybe more. Who knows?
Fly
what
fucking.
Fly fucking, and it translates to like whatever. Her first experience, let's say. She might not be like, secure and things. And this girl is coming on strong. Like strong.
And of course, this is part of, Xena doesn't like not being in control. And
Yes.
definitely Akemi has control of this romantic relationship as
Yes.
it's proceeding. So I think
Yes.
Xena's a little freaked out.
Yeah. So then Akemi's like, what do you hear now? And Xena says,
A lie.
snow falling on cedars.
Which is a book, I guess, that Lucy Lawless enjoyed.
Or the movie starring Ethan Hawke
That's true, too.
that came out before this episode.
Tidbit, Lucy Lawless, ad lib.
So definitely she watched the movie like last night.
And I was like, okay, it has nothing to do with this, but I like that movie.
Yeah.
But
it has
then
some
she's like,
Japanese material in it.
right.
She's like, snow does fall on cedars in Japan.
So,
why not? I hear it.
That's what I'm hearing.
But no. What she really hears is your heart beating louder than normal.
Mm.
And then Akemi says, you're a master of war, yet you know no words to speak of love. This is a lot.
That's a lot.
A lot is happening here.
That's so big.
It's worth reminding people, back in the day the show couldn't use the word love. It had to use friendship.
It still kind of is.
It still kind of is, but at the same time, Akemi is being like, can we just talk about love?
Akemi's like, I have a U-Haul. Can I move in with you, please?
Yeah, I feel like Akemi
Did you hear my poem?
Yeah. Akemi is impatient with the subtext and would like Xena to learn how to speak the words of love, please.
Yeah. She says that saving her life is the greatest gift of love a teacher can give a student. Okay.
But there's an even greater gift, maybe. The pinch!
Well, it's interesting to say this because Xena saved Gabrielle's life in the pilot.
That is interesting. And in a way, Gabrielle doesn't realize it, but she saved Xena's. Xena was contemplating suicide when she saw Gabs do her thing.
We're going to talk about this because there's stuff to say.
Yeah.
So much stuff.
Yeah, so much Sins of the Past.
About everybody's actions in the very beginning of Sins of the Past. Yeah.
And also, this is about a sin of the past.
Uh-oh, quite a sin, yeah.
Sin is such a loaded word.
So then Akemi asks Xena to teach her the pinch, and Xena's like, sure.
Well, she does protest a little.
Yeah, but she's like, all right.
She calls it a sacred trust, which I thought was interesting, the word trust there. That to me, is the closest the episode goes to acknowledging Malila, who sort of was, a really important person in Xena's life.
But then she says, yeah. Sure, babe.
Akemi bats her eyelashes. And
okay, record scratch. We're back on the boat. Gabs is like, what the
This is the
fuck?
first time she's mad.
Yeah.
A little bit mad.
She heard that she taught her the pinch, and she's like,
Excuse me.
What? She's like,
You knew her
yeah,
for
a few weeks.
And you taught her the pinch? Question mark.
Man.
She doesn't have the whole story yet.
No, she doesn't. But like the whole, her like rage is interrupted by the captain of the boat being like, guess what? Higuchi's under attack. So there's nowhere to dock. So I'm turning back around. We're going all the way back where we came from. We see all these fireballs. And of course, the city is really, truly under attack. Xena's like, I need to get ashore. And Gab's like, all right. I'm with you.
Yeah, even though she was just kind of having a moment of jealousy, she immediately shelves it and is like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And Xena's like, I knew you'd say that. Yes.
Call back.
Yes. And Xena jumps right overboard. Just like, bye.
Pretty far. They have to swim pretty far.
Gabs literally shakes her head. She's like, SMH. I can't believe I have to do this. You have to follow. Yeah. So there's a director cut deleted scene here.
Yeah, here is a scene that is very plot focused. No fun emotional stuff at all. Where Yudoshi kind of repeats his Evil Dead camera routine, busts into the tea house, and confronts Akemi.
I love how in the busting up, Akemi doesn't look at him.
Yeah.
It just does not react to that at all. It's cool.
Yeah, this is it's also just nice to, we're in the midst of the flashback still, where Akemi, at this point we get that she's more than she appears, but it's nice to see her just standing up to Yudoshi, just kind of dissing him in her way. Yeah, and just with that eyebrow slightly raised, you feel that she has no respect for this man. So he accuses her of passing the sacred katana to that foreign whore.
Oh, whoa. Shit.
And at this point, one of the other women in the tea house kind of throws Akemi a look, and it's pretty clear that she's Team Yudoshi.
Is this the one
the
that
anklet one?
The anklet
No,
one.
Is that the one that Lucy is obsessed with in the commentary?
Yeah.
She
She's so good at
loves her.
being she's clearly
team,
into
she's into
Yudoshi,
it.
yeah.
He is very attractive, so I get it. I get
Oh
it.
dear. Oh dear.
I'm Team Yudoshi.
But then, surprisingly, you think, oh no, Akemi has stood up to Yudoshi and he's going to be pissed. He laughs and thanks her and says that this is exactly what he wants to have happen. He wants Xena to go to the town of Higuchi with the sword. He's sending his army there. How does this demon spirit have an army?
Well, we heard that he's raising an army
But
before.
how?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And his general is going to capture Xena and the katana, and then she'll lose her head
Maybe.
to the sting of its blade.
Oh,
Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted that sentence.
Yes.
It's quite an important sentence.
You did.
I was just gonna say, like, maybe because he's like a supernatural demon monster situation. He's very threatening. He eats your soul.
I mean, he does eat your soul.
Like, I mean,
Like, he can easily do that.
So we could just go places, be like, I'll eat your soul if you don't join my army.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Okay, bye.
Sure.
I don't know. Perhaps that's not the strongest part of the episode.
It's confusing to me. When I first saw the episode, I assumed the army was something else. Like, I was like, okay, so Yudoshi's doing this, and meanwhile, there's also an army attacking. Who
but
are
it's
they?
it's
I don't know.
easier to be like, that's
They're
his army.
connected,
Sure,
yeah.
why not?
And then this scene ends with him touching her face. And being
Whoa.
like, thank you, daughter.
Whoa.
And you're like, what? They're related.
Oh my god.
But it's a cutscene, so it's not there
Yeah.
in the on-air. You will
I-
not know about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
That's good.
being there.
I
I think
I
it's
don't-
good to know.
Oh,
don't.
I think it works better without knowing that they're related.
I kind of prefer her killing him.
Yeah,
than
I
That's
like
how you
that
know.
reveal
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
but I like that you know that it's his army.
Yes.
So there's like stuff.
Well, they say he's raising an army
I
early
know,
on.
but it's-
Kenji
it's
says it,
clear
like in the
so
beginning.
Early in the episode, you don't know what's going on.
Well,
for
maybe I
Higuchi.
suggest taking a bunch of notes and then you'll remember it.
Anyway, but yeah, I like the reveal more later.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just more dramatic and like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But the idea here is that she's like standing up to him.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
She's
Because
awesome.
she's been captive.
I know.
like for so long.
Akemi.
Yeah.
Most important character in Xena.
Now you're just trying to bait people.
All right, chaos in Higuchi. All right, everything's on fire. There's fire bombs coming. Very specific noise when they hit. Xena and Gabs surface and climb onto the water. Xena spots a water tower, and they need to release the water to save the city. So she says to Gabs, "Gabs, what would you do?"
Test day.
So this is
Test
interesting.
day,
So
biggest test
okay,
day.
I think it's really interesting that like we haven't had a test day in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is it because Xena knows she's in the series finale that she's doing test day, or is it because thinking of Akemi reminded her, being like, oh, you know what? I used to teach Gabs shit.
I'm a teacher.
Maybe I should continue doing that. So yeah,
It's a combination of both. But I feel like
Why
you can
not?
also
Many
infer that this
things.
probably happens a lot, you know?
Yeah.
We might not see it all the time, but remember to Helicon and back where Xena very much took the back seat and let Gabs have all the ideas.
true.
And
But
better
part
or
of
worse.
that
fine,
was about
yeah.
Amazon. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was deferring to Vera. That's her episode. But that's what I was going to say. Like she does.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
just one step further.
Yeah.
Like, first you just defer to Gabs in Amazon situations, then maybe you try deferring to Gabs in just any situation.
Okay.
Well, I like the beginning. I like the way this scene plays out at the beginning when she's like, Gabrielle, what would you do? And then Gabrielle, the most recent time that there was a test day like this, she was like, well, I did this and I saw this and this once and maybe, and instead of like letting her finish, she's just like, show me, Gabrielle. Like,
Yeah.
and I really love that. She's just like, don't explain. Just
Yeah.
show me and we'll do what you want to do.
She was talking about how she went to Cirque du Soleil.
Basically.
And she remembers some somersaults.
But I love this as an example of trust between them. Like,
Yeah.
just do it.
okay.
I'm with you, she's
So
basically saying.
take us through this process here.
Oh, man.
What, do you not like this sequence?
I mean, I like it for the importance. I don't like it for the elaborateness.
You don't
of
like
it.
the gymnastics?
I don't
elaborate.
need it, but like I get it.
I mean,
you know, so
I do
accept
find it hilarious that Gab's way of dealing with the situation is gymnastics.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Xena would do, you would think.
But it's not what she would
not.
do. That's what
Apparently.
Xena says.
She says
biggest
at the end,
twist.
not
Yeah.
how I would do it.
That's
but
my
we were
favorite
talking
line.
about this a little earlier,
Yeah.
and I do feel like because part of it was, well, maybe should we explain the sequence 1st
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's
talk,
go
okay.
for
Let's talk about it first. It's a lot of acrobatics.
Yeah.
a lot of bouncing.
There's like a lot of
flipping.
swinging.
They bounce off an awning.
Yeah, they do a double. They do a double flip together.
Yeah, I love
that
the
was
synchronized
so important.
There's a lot of synchronized stuff in here, so I just wanted to make a personal note that, people might not like this personal note.
What is it? Is it about Outlander?
No, it's just about us watching the finale for the first
sure,
time.
yes.
Because we're like, me and Liv hadn't seen it yet. You had. We were like, okay, we're here. We're finally. We know it's gonna be sad. Oh, okay.
Just a caveat. The only thing I really remembered about the finale from
the forge sequence.
Well, that and also her being just beheaded.
Right, of course.
And nothing else.
Of course.
Well, you hadn't seen the finale in like 15 years.
Yeah,
so
exactly. The only thing that I remember was like the thing that stuck with me. Yes.
But anyway, so having like, even in this, it's ostensibly kind of silly. It's like a big acrobat sequence. and of course, Xena has done stuff similar in the past. But the way it mostly starts with them doing all this stuff in tandem is the first, and I won't say the next part. It was the first time I cried watching it. I was like, oh my god, look at them swinging. Look at them do the flips at the same time. I was like, oh my god, they're doing it like same. Look at this baby Gabs. She's all grown up. She's just doing this.
I mean, she is grown up.
She flips it out
So
now.
This is the first time she does a flip since One Against the Army, where she attempts a flip.
And that's like a normal person flip that she was doing in One Against the Army. And I made a big ranto in our mailbag about like Xena being like, shown to having these, more than human abilities, and Gabs doesn't really have them. Here, she does. There is a point towards the beginning of the sequence where they both kind of boing off an awning, and they do the same flips across to like another building, and it's very long. And Gabrielle does them. It's like 2 flips, and it's a lot, and she does them very well. Later in the sequence, she does get a little less graceful
when she's on the seesaw.
Yeah, and and then she flies very like she's like whoa.
Yes.
But this one is very in tandem with Xena and very much like, and it's a lot extra, but I think you can have the qualifier that they boing off the awning.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I do think
slightly achievable.
I do think that
learned,
it's a lot.
It's a learned skill.
I think it's great because I sort of forgot when I was having that rant, like, I sort of remembered this being more... I know they did a lot of bananas stuff, but in my head it was a lot of practical, like, jump off a ladder, boing off a thing. I didn't really remember that she did, like, such a huge flying flip.
Okay, listen, you're taking the flipping, like, you're thinking about it way too hard.
Pretty great.
I've argued in that mailbag ranto that it's a learned technique, flipping, because not only Callisto does insane flips, Olivia does insane flips. I know she's like related to both of them. Both of them. But still, it is you can learn these skills. I think this show posits
you can get there.
Yeah.
And look.
So I think
here we are in the finale, and she did that.
However, I do think it's weird that we'd never see her actually follow up on that, like, attempt to do just a little proper little
building
flip
on the skills
on the ground.
Time.
Yes. Yeah. So she goes from that to like the awning flip.
Full on.
It's fine. It's fine. I accept it. I'm just saying that
a lot more Gabrielle stuff, but we're not.
we could. There could be, but the stuff we do get, I like. So
sure.
Anyway, they do this crazy elaborate thing. I personally think that this sequence was heavily inspired. Well, this is like 2001. Heavily inspired by the Sydney Olympics in 2000.
What?
Aussie, oi, oi, oi. We have high bar gymnastics. There's a lot of gymnastics here. That's basically
mostly gymnastics. Yeah.
High bar. We got the balance beam, the ladder. No, that's not gymnastics.
Walk your ladder across the arena.
No, but still, I was like, this is multiple gymnastics things happening, and the Olympics just happened. So I don't know.
I mean, it's true that I feel like the gymnastics, like doing like, the parallel bars routines used to be a big thing on Xena. It's maybe less big recently, but
this was a huge one.
Nostalgic,
and we had a big old High Zoe moment.
Yeah, this is so much High Zoe.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And then Gabs does the balance beam sort of. Anyway, they get to the water tower as they wanted to.
One thing I want to point out about Gabs's plan. I love that it starts with them doing things together, but then they branch off and each do separate things.
But the
only
seesaw
to come
required,
back together at the end. I really
nice.
like that.
It's good.
Yeah.
I love Xena as well throughout because obviously she has deferred to Gabrielle to do this plan. And at the beginning, she's kind of like, Gabrielle! I think she's a little nervous about something.
Really working out.
And then when there's a point where she kind of like sees what she's doing, and she makes like such a proud like smile face. It's so wonderful. She's like, she's got it. It's just such a good face.
Yeah.
It's so good. She's like just so proud of her little baby.
Yeah, she just stands there being proud of her little baby as her little baby grunts over that wheel.
Yeah, she just lets her do it. Yeah, and she can't
also,
open it.
Like, how strong is she? She's strong enough to do it on her own.
But she's not. She couldn't.
She did do
She
it.
couldn't open it. She couldn't
stuck.
open the wheel.
Yeah. It was.
She was cranking it. It wasn't going. So Xena had to like hit it with her sword.
It's okay.
And then Xena takes all the credit.
She wouldn't have been able to. Xena wouldn't be able to open it either.
Well, she would have just hit it with the sword in the first place. So anyway, the water comes out. It's like a firefighter type of stuff.
So wait, are you saying that Gabs' plan fails?
No, Gab's plan works. It would have gone like...
Gabs goes to all this trouble of doing everything without a sword.
The thing is...
And then Xena's just like, okay, I pull out my sword and stab things. Take that, Gabs.
I mean, I think Xena would have gotten there way faster. Like, her plan would have just streamlined it a little bit. And then
more killing.
And then would have... I don't think she would have killed anything but that tower.
No.
Water tower.
I think that in my head, I feel like there would have been... If it was like a Xena-focused sequence, she would have like fought her way through some kind of army bit.
Yeah.
Like,
sure, I
They're
guess.
present.
Okay.
Like, they would, yeah.
I
Gabs was trying to avoid that.
I mean, she did. And I just really love that, like, when they finish, they, like, high five. All the fires are extinguished. They do this whole, like, high five, hold hands thing. They celebrate the moment. And I personally, like, just, like, love that Xena's like, I would have done it different, but I just love that you did.
Yeah.
Because that's important. That's so important.
Being a student and a teacher.
And also for the like longevity of like, let's say the tale of the girl with the chakram. Like, she's gonna do shit her own way.
Yeah.
Right. It's so important.
Yeah, Xena hasn't created a clone of herself.
No.
Gabs
that would be Livia.
Gabs is Gabs, and she has her own perspective.
She's her own person,
and we love that.
So the celebrations are done. Gabs gets back to business. She's like, remember how you taught Akemi the pinch? Or she says Akemi. This is important.
Okay.
Let's discuss.
Okay. I don't think it's as important as
it is
think
important.
It is.
It is important.
I don't. Okay.
Every time she refers to her as Akemi. This is like Big Little Lies when Renata says the thing all the time. Madeline, specifically.
Versus Madeline. I don't think she's being passive aggressive. I really don't. I think Renee is just pronouncing it Akemi.
No, why?
I don't know why.
She says Higuchi too.
She says Higuchi.
She does?
She does.
Oh, so does Yudoshi.
Higuchi.
There's a lot of mispronunciation.
Bummer.
And
Are we mispronouncing it?
Yeah.
Is it really Akemi?
We're the gaijin. I think we'd probably be like Akemi, but I can't.
So no one says it correct.
No one. No.
It's because there's not.
We don't speak Japanese.
We do not speak Japanese. There's no stress on like the syllable.
Right.
So, yeah.
So anyway.
I don't think she's being passive aggressive.
She's like, you taught her they pinch, and did she ever use it? And Xena's like, yup. Here's a flashback.
Okay.
So we got to...
I wish you just said that. Yup, here's a flashback.
Yup, here we go. Doodle-a-doo, doodle-a-doo, doodle-a-doo.
So we're at Akemi's daddy's house, and there's like a theatrical performance happening.
I love this as just a Hamlet fangirl.
Is this Hamlet?
No, but the idea, this is
the play.
A girl doing a vengeance, and she puts on a play to do it. I love.
Well, she didn't put the play on; it was happening already.
It was happening, and she blended into it. Yeah, but she used it for her vengeance.
They do that in Hamlet slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she slides out, literally slides out.
I love that shot.
Yeah,
I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love the look of this.
And she's wearing a demon mask, And she's wearing a white robe situation.
So again, Akemi up
different
till now,
color though. Yeah.
Only this soft pink. Now she's
Yeah.
just in pure white.
Obviously, to me, it reminded me of Oren Ishii.
Yes,
her final outfit
it does,
in Kill
but
Bill.
Xena did it first.
Yep.
Something else did it first.
I'm sure something else did. But not Lady Snowblood. We know that for sure.
No, Lady Snowblood did
Tarantino
not
did
have a
change
white
that
kimono.
final sequence, so
that's
there you
true.
go. He made it his own. So then Xena did it first.
Sure.
So this is some good shit. She points at her father. Everybody gets very unnerved as soon as she slides out,
It's
literally.
super awkward.
And she points at her father very creepily. And we have another Vertigo shot of this.
Yes.
But I would say they were pulling her on her glidey thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I think
not
so.
quite
She's
how
dollying, herself.
She's moving, yeah. Yeah. She then unmasks, and her father is shocked to see her.
Unmasked.
Yeah, exactly. Xena, meanwhile, busts through the wall of this.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I love this shot. The katana goes through this painted screen,
Yes.
through the moon of this painted screen, which
Yeah.
I thought was just a really cool image.
Yeah, and it's implying that when she slices through this wall, that the lighting is now from outside. So you
it's
can see the
light
outside
literally
now
changes,
entirely.
So you see it. Yeah.
Totally impractical.
But really cool.
It looks beautiful, I think. So
yeah.
And then the outside is the snowy courtyard, which is very
Kill Bill.
very Kill Bill, very Lady
Yes,
Snowblood.
yes.
very, it's kind of an iconic sort of
Japanese.
yeah.
Setting, yeah. So Xena busts in just in time to see Akemi put the pinch on her daddy.
Daddy. You can't stop.
It's always, that's what it is. His guards attack Xena, and so she fights them. Meanwhile, Akemi claps her hands and talks to the
Invoking
spirits.
her ancestors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She says that my brothers, my sisters, my mother, my gentle grandparents, I avenge all your deaths at the hands of this monster.
That's a lot.
That
And
is
I
huge.
don't care that we don't know more.
You can infer.
Yeah.
This guy clearly did
sucks.
some shit.
He did some shit.
Yeah.
To Akemi.
But he's so attractive. Sorry.
But he
He's
did
very
some shit.
good-looking.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that it's just it's not out of nowhere because something's going on
Right.
with Akemi, but it is such a dramatic reveal.
Yeah.
And I like that it's mysterious. I like that we don't, that the episode doesn't stop to tell you Akemi's life story.
You get it. You get it.
the
He
same
did
way
a
that
lot.
Xena has lived a lot of life. So has Akemi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the broadcast version, this is where you would find out that this is her daddy.
Yep.
In the director's cut, you already know.
Yeah, and it was really shocking. And we're, the audience is supposed to be shocked, just like how Xena is supposed to be shocked. What?
What?
Yeah, so she wishes that he suffer in death like the family suffered in life, and then he dies. And Xena's so shocked this is Akemi's father, but mainly she's like,
That dude was rich.
where's my money?
Yeah, I love that Akemi's like, it was my duty, I had to avenge. And Xena's like, I don't care.
Bitch better have my money. So Akemi's kind of in her own world right now. She goes into that backyard, courtyard thing. It's beautiful snow. Like we said, very Kill Bill, very Lady Snowblood, etc. And she gets on her knees and she asks Xena's forgiveness. Xena's pacing around, being maybe there's an inheritance.
Yeah, I love that she goes. She's like, probably there's no inheritance in this. Oh man, because this is still Xena of many
Money wants
times
it.
ago, and this relationship is complicated.
Yes.
And there are two people who had agendas,
Yeah.
and we're both kind of using each other.
Yes,
And
I love it.
Is this the moment where we talk about what do we think their actual Akemi versus Xena and in their own, not in their own way, in their own ways? I do think that they both did love each other, but that just might be me.
I think they're both very damaged people who are coming together and finding something together. Yeah, I don't think Akemi's con would work if there wasn't something real in it. You know, I think she is genuinely amazed and impressed by Xena and wants Xena, thinks that Xena will do her, this will be that friend in need to her.
Right, and this is what she like wants her to do.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because when you think about like the people that Xena has met, like we talked about this stuff a lot earlier throughout the run of the show, where she loves to collect things from people. Like she saw Malila, she's like, I want to know, I want the pinch, I want to see, like your flips or whatever. The stuff she learned from Lao Ma. And here she learns the art of the long con from Akemi. It is extremely important to her.
So we have Akemi to thank for
Thanks,
that.
Akemi, but she definitely.
Okay, well, now I hate Akemi. I'm joining fandom.
That's for
Bye, guys.
That's for sure what she learned from her. She learned long cons from her, manipulation, and how to stay with that, and like do all these things that we hate in episodes.
She learned the long con from her.
She did.
This is a very different relationship than, say, Caesar, who also kind of manipulates Xena through a seduction and then betrays her.
But not in a specific.
I don't feel like Akemi actually betrays Xena. Like, that's not what's happening. Akemi just is doing what Akemi was going to do all along. And
she
wants
wouldn't,
Xena's help to do it.
She wouldn't have done it. Like, she literally led Xena the entire time to get to the place where she fulfills her vengeance quest.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if she had... I mean, she had this in mind, like, when she first saw her. She was like, this is the perfect person. This is a perfect person
who will help me destroy the patriarchy.
Right. And so, like, hence she had this long con.
Yeah.
Now, was her lovey poetry real?
I think it is. I think there's obviously an element of guile to it because the sassy eyebrow, like it's
just
there.
Like she went so hard at Xena that I'm like, is
there's
this
definitely
like real,
a lot,
or are you playing?
And there's no way to really know because Akemi is a little bit of a mysterious character, which is part of what's interesting about her.
Yeah.
But I just think there is something real there. And I feel like when you see her later in the episode, in part 2, she's not immediately like, oh, hi, Xena, I don't care about you. There's a lot
she talks
there.
about her, too, with such reverence,
Sure.
She does,
I mean, how can you not fall in love with Xena?
That's what I'm saying.
And I also think it's interesting because she sees Xena, being her awful self and says, I think this woman will help me kill my dad, but also, will do the right thing by me in the end, which is, not an obvious
No, it's
thing.
not obvious.
Yeah. She, in a very different way from Lao Ma or Malila, sees the good in Xena, but that good takes a very different form.
For her, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does she ask of Xena? She asks for one more thing, is to restore her honor by cutting off her head with the katana.
And this is a bit of a, this is a fucked situation that Akemi is in. You kind of wish Akemi would go you know what? Let me just fuck everything about everything. And
I'm not
now
sorry.
Let's run off. I'm not sorry. But she is embedded in a tradition. And
it's true. So, I kind of wanted her to go in the way of the Asura demon, in Lady Snowblood, which is the vengeance demon. Like she goes around being vengeance seeing everywhere.
Baby.
Yeah.
Is that good though?
No, it's bad. It's very bad. So Akemi, meanwhile, goes the way of the samurai here.
Yeah. So this is some harakiri imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Xena's all I'm not going to cut off your head. She can't even say it, which I love. She's cut off your...
Well, this is important because this is dealing with, the Western view of cutting off a head versus the Eastern view of it. To Westerners, you do not see that as, honorable at all. You see that as, the opposite.
Right, kind of desecration.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Body desecration. And she has to, explain that this is, the most honorable thing. And in fact, this episode goes out of the 2 episodes go out of its way to explain that.
Try to make that clear, yeah.
Cutting off heads here is very, honorable.
I also love, that poor Xena, who loves her gift of the katana, realizes now that the katana was just meant for this one thing.
Yep.
He's disappointed.
Again, long con. She feels played.
Because for a moment, watching this episode, I was like, this is such a huge continuity error. Xena gets this awesome sword in Japan. Why hasn't she been using this all along? And then I'm like, oh, this is her, beheading sword she can't bear to touch again.
Yeah.
So, Akemi also asks her to take her ashes to the family shrine in Higuchi.
Yep.
And so, part of Liv, as you mentioned, Harakiri, is that what Akemi does, and it all just kind of is very shocking, and it's just going very quickly. She just, takes...
This is what you're going to do.
A sword
she has, a short blade, the tongue
and that's
too.
part of it. So, it's actually, more intense. She just kind of goes one,
Well, it's,
through,
literally, it's, supposed to be, when you assassinate someone, it's, one in the chest, and two in the chest and one in the head.
Oh, my God.
It's kind of similar. Whereas, the samurai would stab themselves in the belly with this short blade. And there was, literally, a guidebook to how to do it.
Wow.
Various kinds of ways you could do it. And then somebody has to, your second has to, cut your head off.
Right.
Yeah.
And thus Xena is about to do.
Yep.
I love that Akemi does the same gesture as earlier. She brushes the hair away from her
Yes,
neck.
and that same music cue comes in.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so she stabbed herself in the stomach.
But still manages to do the poetry.
Gotta do one last
This
poem.
is a good poem.
Yeah.
I like this poem.
Do you have it written down?
Me?
Yes.
I do. She says, snow melts, flowers fade, and I pass, as all things do. But time and love, they go on. That's nice. And she's really good. The acting is really good, I think.
Yeah,
Both
both actors in this moment.
You know, about
Yeah.
the impermanence of things and people, but the endlessness of time and love, which is a overarching thing in the show, which probably will come up next, either in the next episode or in our big unpinning episode. But just the concepts of time and love being a through line for certain relationships.
Yeah.
So Xena winds up and she does a 360 spin.
She does.
And while she's spinning,
Screams.
screaming, and then also flashing back to this episode to
That's all we have
go.
for Akemi. Yes,
Akemi and Xena love.
and of course, we're used to these with Gabrielle, so I can see that that can be
Right, but you know how we feel about flashbacks into the
same
episode.
But
you're
what are you
watching.
going to do?
But you get it. I mean, personally,
Yeah.
I didn't need it, but
I can see how they were
would be
worried
worried.
people-
Yes, they're like,
Yeah, but
she
she's
feels
actually
things.
thinking of these moments that she found as these genuine moments
Right.
of connection with Akemi.
But I think you
And now
feel-
she's
you feel it in her
worried
scream.
We're not real, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What did they mean?
Yeah,
all the
I
stuff that
certainly
she's
feel it
thinking.
in the performance and
Yeah.
the screen.
That's what I mean. I
And
feel it
that's
in the
true.
screen.
You can be interpreting too that all of that stuff that now she's angry, of course, not at just having to do this thing, but at having been manipulated.
Well, from a
That
bidding
did
perspective, I
happen.
hate those flashbacks.
I just want the complete shot
Yes,
of the spin. It's a
yes.
fantastic shot.
It's a gorgeous. Her hair just goes woof.
Yeah, whipping all the way around.
Yeah, it's so good. I do love that she does such a huge wind up for it.
Yes.
And then she, does the deed.
Yeah.
We go white, and then we transition to
Right to Gabs.
the
Asking
ink
her
dropping.
question. Oh, the ink drop,
The
yes.
ink drops.
The red.
Very specifically.
The
So it's
red.
red now.
Yeah.
Which Rob in the commentary was like, this was the whole point of the inks was for you to get
Go
that this should
from
cut her
black
head
to
off.
red. Yeah.
The ink drops, you totally get it, and the sound effect is of the firebomb.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I love that. Again, red, such an important
Yeah.
color in this episode. Yeah. I also feel I don't know, I was thinking about it and I was like, Akemi being pink, red and white mixed together.
yeah.
The white of the snow, the red of
That's
the blood.
Lady Snowblood.
Yeah. Well, I think Akemi is very, very
Yeah,
definite
she is
Lady
playing
Snowblood
Lady
vibe.
Snowblood because she is the vengeance demon.
Yeah, she is in her way a warrior woman out for
Yeah,
revenge.
yeah,
She
yeah.
needs Xena to help, but that is what she's doing.
All right, so we're back with Xena and Gabs. The soldiers are cheering, Xena, Xena, and Gabs asks how she'll feel when facing Akemi's ghost.
Akemi.
Akemi.
I can't. I can't with the
So
mispronunciation.
there's a dude who's been eyeballing them this whole time.
Yeah, right. He saw them come out of the water,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, two very wet ladies. I see."
And he
He
he comes
didn't do
up
that.
and he's like, how will you feel when you're facing the ghosts of the people you killed in Iguchi? And then they're like, what? So this guy's called Harukata, a.k.a. Killer of Ghosts, a.k.a. Ghostface Killer.
I know. I was like, he's definitely Ghostface Killer.
So he says that Xena may have saved the city this time, but the last time she was here, she really fucked it up.
Oh.
Uh-oh, a flashback.
Yeah, Xena's like, I guess we need another flashback here.
Yep.
Also because I don't remember this.
So we're back in Higuchi, and Xena is fulfilling Akemi's dying wish. She's bringing her ashes to her family shrine. Word got out that she was honoring the wishes of a girl who killed her father, and the townspeople were like really not into this. Okay, and this is kind of a bummer because like,
If they knew the whole
well,
story.
like Akemi's like in like a bind because it's like she needs to do the vengeance, but
for
then
the
like
rest of her family.
yeah, and
but
then
she is going against
yeah.
the code of honoring
exactly.
your family.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
So these people heard about this and they're like super not into it, and they kind of like gather and band together to stop Xena.
But they are just simple villagers.
Right.
All they have are some farm implements.
And snowballs.
A lot of snowballs.
So this is winter, and Xena's Luke here is quite something.
So
Let's do this.
I'm just gonna like start this out with a plea to our listenership. We are just like I was certain by the time we got to this episode that I would figure out what this scene is a filmic reference to, because to me it's just so specific, Xena's Luke, that I'm like, it must be something. It must be from a movie. Well, we have not found that movie. So
does anybody know? Challenge.
If anybody knows what this is, I mean, we get that like she's sort of done up in this traditional Japanese look with the drawn on eyebrows.
It's called like Hikimayu, I think.
You can see it in Rashomon, like the main female character there.
But what is it? Is it specifically a morning look?
No.
But like her hair's cut.
It's just fashion. Yeah.
So like the
hair is shorn.
The shorn hair is weird.
To be
Well, like a morning.
Yeah.
Like that is just a gesture that I feel like is cross all boundaries of culture that like in sadness.
Right.
That
She
might do
chops
something
it
like
off.
that,
And I always just figured that like the makeup and stuff was also sort of like a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like in terms of like the eye makeup, she's just cried it off.
Right, that looks incredible, but
the
then she looks like
eyebrows.
they kind of look like devil horns as well.
Yeah, I mean, it has a slightly.
She looks very. Yeah, the devil horn thing, it's not that, like, you're commenting on what the makeup looks like, but her, like, rage and sadness and the way that she has made herself
She's
up,
so
there is a demonic anger that is, like, happening.
But it also, like,
it's,
I think it is clear some kind of, like, morning attire. She's wearing, like, a rag. She has... The detail of the fact that her socks are incredibly dirty is, like, one of my favorite things. I mean, she's a mess, and she's drunk AF.
She's drunk.
She has like a drink, like a flask thing on a
little chain.
Yeah, like she's wearing it like a fanny
her
pack.
Yeah, like, that's how you know it's bad, when you gotta wear your drink.
It's good. I like it.
She's wearing traditional Japanese shoes,
and she sucks at wearing them.
Well, it's also like ice.
It's icy, and she's drunk, so there's a lot of problems for her.
Yeah, so
That's
I mean,
a
it has this almost like vaudevillian quality.
Yes.
Like you think of like almost like clowns,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the painted face.
It's true.
The like physical performance. There's like
a mime.
There's so much going on here, and I want to believe it's from something, but at the same time, if it isn't, if it really is just something they invented,
Created,
I'm like,
Then yes.
whoa.
We're into it. Yeah.
Is there a continuity issue with Xena's hair being shorn?
I don't know.
Because doesn't she then go off to, Syntrade with really long hair?
Well, is it like immediate?
I guess.
Who knows?
I don't know. How long does it take to grow that mane out?
Yeah.
Who knows?
She took a break.
The lost years.
Yeah, the lost years,
The lost
exactly.
years.
Yeah.
So at first she is really trying to ignore the provocation of the villagers. She's just kind of... She's mad at them, but she's not like... she just spits her drink out at them.
So she... Okay, I'm doing some victim blaming here.
Oh,
okay,
well, I'm glad you at least give us some warning.
Listen, okay, if they had not gone off on Xena, like, none of this would have happened,
so,
obviously.
Wait, did we talk about... Sorry if I missed it, because I've just been thinking about her, Luke. Like, they are... provoking her.
They're but from afar.
What?
They're kind of like still like from afar provoking her. There's a guy who spits a drink at her.
I just wanted to say, like, the reason they're provoking her is because they know that she's bringing Akemi's ashes.
Yes, and they're not into it.
They're not into it because, and the reason being is that Akemi killed her father.
Yes, exactly.
And that is bad because patriarchy.
She's defiling their
it's just like the code.
Graveyard.
Yeah, exactly. So these people from afar like spit her drink. Some guy spits his drink at her.
Yeah, everyone sucks.
And like she's like, well, I spit my drink at you. Okay, and then some guy throws a snowball at her.
And she kind of just takes it.
And she's like, all right, whatever. And she's ignoring them, and she's sliding around on that ice in her shoes.
It's a really bad moment for
and
her.
They start getting like, oh, okay, we can come closer to you now. We can come closer to you.
More threatening.
Absolutely.
So they start like, they literally attack her.
They hit her with the farm implements.
Yeah, the wooden farm implements.
And then her finkies slip a little bit on this urn. It flies up in the air and then shatters on the ground.
She tries to save it, but it just...
And
she can't get there.
Ashes, like, they shatter everywhere. There's a beautiful shot of her hand, like, going through them.
Yeah.
And then beautiful. Her, like, just...
It's a lot of wind. It's winter, very windy, snowy.
Extremely upsetting reaction to that.
It's a horror. It's like horror.
Yeah.
Like, she's, like, horrified that
it's
this
awful.
happened.
This is the one thing she could do to restore Akemi's honor, and she has failed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So she just, like, freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
There is screaming and wailing, and it's... I mean, I don't know if we've ever quite seen Xena lose control quite like this.
Yeah. And so she finally gets to her feet, and she gets a hold of a torch, and she takes a swig of her drink, and spits some fire at some guys.
The return of the real fire breathing.
Yay!
And it looks so different from the CGI.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It looks so good, yeah.
Okay, so, and that's fun. Yes, it's because of Aragorn. What's his name?
Grinderman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Grinderman.
For some reason, people didn't want the star of the show breathing fire. Hi.
Insurance issues.
But as soon as he goes off to Lord of the Rings...
Yep, they're like, do it!
Set her on fire.
Yes. So she catches these two guys on fire, and then these two guys, now if they had just stopped, dropped, and rolled, and put out their flames...
in the snow.
It would have been fine.
Okay.
Instead, these two guys...
They were too busy being on fire, Vera,
run like headless chickens
to think about this.
Into the stores, and they catch the whole fucking town on fire because everything's made out of wood.
They do, eh?
Yep, it's them. It's their fault.
Okay, Vera.
Okay.
So you're saying they need to die to free the souls of the
It's them! Yes. So Xena sees this, and she's like, oh, okay. And then walks off.
Oh, okay.
She literally has that reaction. She's like, oh,
giant
okay.
swig of
Yeah,
her
I
drink
love the swig
and
of the
walks
drink.
out of frame.
Walks off.
Just stumbles out of frame.
Yeah.
So this, I mean, the setup is interesting because it's not the same per se as something that I think we'll bring up soon or that we've already kind of mentioned. Like, she didn't kill all the Amazons. Like, you know, I mean, she did kill all the Amazons and then they get stuck in limbo. Like, she did do this and this other bad thing directly. But, you know, how about when you go back and listen to her talking about stuff with Callisto and Sierra? Like, when you listen to what she said there, she's like, well, at first she's like, hey, my men did it. Mm-hmm. And then later she's like, oh, I ordered my men to do, you know, and this is like a huge, huge thing. And I think probably one of the biggest direct comparisons that people make to, like, well, why are they doing this thing? They've done this before. Like, we've already seen her go through this and better, like with Callisto. Like this situation it's kind of similar because she in that situation with, like, Sierra, she's not like 100% being like, when you go back and watch it, like, she takes direct responsibility, but she says stuff like, it
Yeah.
was an order, like, this and that.
The wind.
Like the wind. And
Yeah.
no, they literally is a
She
line
does say the wind.
where she goes, like, the wind took the fire and it destroyed this fucking town. And it was because, like, I was making actions and orders and other people were also involved. In this situation, you know, these people are provoking her. Perhaps if, like, they were not provoking her, this wouldn't have happened. However, like, in her state and in her rage and in, like, her way of being, like, her thing that she did was to set two guys on fire.
Right.
You know what I
For
mean?
hitting her with, like, a
A
rake.
snowball.
They beat her up, and she falls to the ground, and they were beating
it's bad.
her. It was like the
It's
whole
bad.
town was beating
They
her.
are.
Like, I know she's
it's
fine,
not
but,
great.
like, they
It's
were
not
beating
great.
her
Yeah.
up.
It's not
like,
great,
literally.
but, like, you know, the level of remove, I feel like there's, like, a spectrum, and I don't know what the line is. You know, like, how we could be here all day, kind of arguing about, like, what your, like, responsibility is. Of course, with, like, Sierra, it's much more direct.
Yeah.
Like, but here it's like, you know, if you hit, you know, I did some kind of, like, manslaughter parallel I was going to do just now. Like, you know, just because she didn't, like, strike a match and go, I'm going to kill 40,000
your
people,
town.
it doesn't make her not, like, responsible, and doesn't make her as a person feel less responsible just because it was an accident. So because it is presented as more of a, and as we'll say, Gabrielle is the first person who's going to be like, it was a fucking horrible accident.
Right.
Like, and Xena's just like, no. Like, so I feel like there's a lot to unpack with this, and we could kind of be here forever.
And we
figuring
will
out,
be.
like, you know, trying to be like, well, what is her responsibility, but, you know, it is her actions that lead to this. And I don't think that that's unfair to say.
Right, and then don't forget that she did set two guys on fire, and she was willing to go to jail for one crabs woman.
She was willing to, and what's the difference? I'm already going to start doing this shit. Like,
She fed that woman to crabs, okay, Vera? To crabs.
crabs woman, I'm going to come up. I just, like, again, I'm already going to start bringing it up. Like, what's the difference between one and a billion? What is
the
this
difference?
numbers game that gets played? So, let's
I think I mean,
Carrie,
this
let's keep
thing,
going.
okay.
I do think there's something really, like, I like the metaphor of the wildfire because it is so much about cause and effect. Like, you know, that a small action can have huge consequences. You know, that not everything is one-to-one. Oh, I chopped that guy's head off and he's dead. Yes, that's, you know, you meant to do a thing and you did the thing. So often with, you know, bad actions, it's not just you did the thing, it's you did the thing which led to the thing, which led to the thing, which led to the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the circle of violence in that way.
That good old
The wheel?
cycle of violence.
The wheel of violence can only be broken by love, guys. Ghostface Killer is like, the wind carried all this fire to all that wooden houses, and guess what? 40,000 people died.
That's a lot of people.
But that's not all.
And it seems like a lot.
I mean, it is a lot. It's a huge
it seems like a lot. That's not as see, now I've had too much.
I didn't realize
to drink.
Higuchi was
Not
so
as many
large.
as those Chinese soldiers who got turned to stone.
We don't talk about them.
And back in the bottle.
We don't remember
I
this.
was just going to say, like, one of the things that I've come across is this sort of feeling that it's unrealistic, but it's entirely realistic and has actually happened historically in Japan.
Literally, their houses were still wooden
Yeah.
in World War II times,
And, like,
when the firebombs
triple the
happened.
number of people, like, you know, so it's a huge number, but it's even less than historical real incidents. So if there's, like, some kind of question about
It's just
whether
it's like a huge number.
It
just
is, but it's
for
not-
Xena to, like, be like, whoa.
I know.
Well, I do like that her immediate reaction to being told this is it's not possible. Like that's just her gut reaction. She can't believe it.
Well, because she doesn't remember probably doing any of this because she was blacked out drunk.
and that's kind of that's all part of it too.
Yeah.
It's just like, imagine being in such a way that, like, these things happened and you don't even
that
know
an entire village burned down, basically
because
right
of
next to you.
what you did.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, Kenji is like, guess what? It gets worse. Yadoshi is so full of evil that even Akemi killing him, like, he wasn't allowed to go into the underworld, so he became Lord Yodoshi, aka the Eater of Souls, and the 40,000 lost souls were just his snackies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're
and it's never said, but
they're
Akemi
inside him.
too has been enslaved by him.
They don't really talk about that.
I assume
but
because Xena couldn't
get her
put
fucking
her
ashes in. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's pretty straightforward. It takes a minute.
No one explains it to you, but you get that must be what happens.
You do. It requires a little bit more of you.
It requires Xena Warrior podcast to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, she very straightforwardly says, "Take my ashes to
do this."
To
and
Higuchi.
then Xena drops it in the middle of the town.
And she says, "It's the only way to restore my honor."
If anything, she would just be a ghost for sure, because her ashes are just right there.
Yeah.
So anyway, he eats them
here.
all, and they're enslaved in his little tummy. And Xena's like, "Oh my god, I am guilty of a greater evil than I ever thought possible." And Gabs is like, "Oh my god,
that's a sad line.
It's just a horrible accident." And then Xena can't hear it. She's like, "I must set things right.
I must put things right." Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that even now, Xena's the one who's like, "Oh shit, I am bad. I did bad. I'm the worst." And Gabs is like, "You're not. You're not." And Xena's like, "Yep, I am."
Yeah. And so she immediately...
That's their dynamic in a nutshell.
She immediately steps on the gas to Gabs' training. Like, she goes from the previous, like, what would you do? To like, okay, Gabs, try listening. Here's an important thing about being a warrior. Listening.
Looking at my list of things to teach Gabs.
Quickly. So,
I find it, because Gabs at the beginning is kind of good at listening.
What do you mean? Like, to Xena talk about herself?
No. She knows the dude is out there.
Right.
Oh, yeah, sure. But it's not like, that's not like listening.
To the sounds behind
the sounds.
Yes, exactly.
I would say that if this is the first time in their entire relationship that she's teaching her to, like, listen for things, I would be a little incredulous. But this is, like, extra sounds.
Well, Gabs is, she's listening. She's first really bad at it, but then she starts hearing.
I thought I heard a horse.
Exactly. Then she's like, oh, the sounds behind the sounds? All right, got it. So she's like, soldiers marching. Looks like at least 3 armies gathering.
I like the way this is done. It's different, right, from the on-air version, Vera? Like, in the director's cut, you have this long kind of green screen shot of Gabs and the armies sort of walking behind her and then over her.
That's the same.
Oh, it is. Superimposed, yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely on green screen.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought, even though it is a very obvious green screen, there's something like very sort of dreamlike about this whole scene where it kind of works. They get away with it.
So Gabs goes to warn everyone while Xena talks to Ghostface Killa. She says her spirit aches for the torment she's caused.
She feels, this is an interesting scene because you feel very much like Xena's like, I need Ghostface Killer to kind of like hear my side of things. Like, our introduction was him telling me about all the shit I did. Mm-hmm. Now I need to make him see that, like, I want to do better. So I feel like she's trying to convince him, and she does. But by the end of the scene,
and they both want the same thing, which is to release the souls.
Right.
Xena asks why he sucks at killing Yodoshi, and he says he can't get close enough to him because he's mortal. Only another ghost can trap a spirit as mighty as Yodoshi.
Xena's immediately like, okay, I get it, dude.
I like it. She looks out at the like foggy hills of Japan, and she's like, got it. Does this quick nod.
I love
really
the camera
acting.
Pushes in on her.
Yeah.
It's a cool moment. I think everybody's on the same page here. I'm glad the episode doesn't have to explain this to you.
Yeah.
It knows you get it. It's a very well played moment.
So we get this like beautiful dolly shot of Xena in the samurai training room.
Yeah.
It's like a wide shot. She's sitting there on her knees. She's wearing a new outfit.
Yes, Luke.
Yep, it's like red.
All around. around.
There's like a
Yeah.
golden breastplate just kind of like sitting there waiting to be put on.
Yeah, I love that she's only half dressed right
Yes,
now.
yes.
It feels
You
very
can't really
like
get a
behind
good
the
look
scenes.
of her outfit yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a better of Gabs.
That's true.
Yeah.
You see the full on for Gabs. But yeah, here it's just Xena alone, and she has this moment. It's a little bit of praying.
Yeah, it is very similar to
Yeah.
the praying scenes, except now she's sitting like in a Eastern sort of style, and she's talking to Akemi.
Yeah, much in the way that Akemi talked to her grandfather. So you feel like Xena has learned to listen to those sounds that she couldn't hear back when she was young.
She knows what she must do, but she's afraid that since it's the series finale, if she dies, she might stay dead.
She says, I'm afraid that on this day, what's done may not be undone.
Yeah.
Right.
It's worth being worried about.
Her face
yeah.
is very good here.
She's so good. This is so good. What are we going to do?
I don't
Talk
know.
about it?
I guess so.
No, I don't want to.
Yes. So Gabs walks in, also wearing a new outfit.
Yeah, so she's wearing a new outfit.
She's
for sure.
wearing her old outfit under it, though.
Oh,
right?
she is?
I think you can see it a little bit, like the red of the
it's like
bikini
the
top.
samurai armor
okay.
is like on top of her. She's got
right.
new boots.
And it's like she's covered a lot.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
much more covered up
Yeah.
now. She has a full on, basically like armored shirt.
Yeah.
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 It's
So-
awesome.
Xena asks her to sit down with her.
Oh yeah, I love the shoulders. It
Yeah.
makes her look even more broad.
Yeah.
I mean, she could break me in half, and I would thank her.
Yeah.
She asks Gabs to sit down with her, and Gabs is like, what? Okay. And she takes Gabs' hands and looks at them. I thought this was an interesting little moment where she looks at the hands, and she pulls her down. And to me, this, like, I know we said that previously Akemi, like her grabbing Akemi's hand and bringing her up, like mirrored the putting Gabs on the horse, but I thought this mirrored Akemi, like, she takes Akemi's hand, puts her up, and then here she like takes Gabs' hands, puts her down with her.
Oh, so I like that.
Yeah.
I draw you up and I draw you down.
Yeah. So she takes her little fingies and puts them on her neck, and she starts explaining the pinch to her. Gabs like gets it, and she backs off.
Yeah, she pulls away.
She's like,
She's like, yep.
don't
Yeah.
like this.
Ugh.
And then Xena insists, I want you to know what I know, and says, please.
Yeah. I like that Gabs, so she's been listening to the episode thus far, and, like, basically says, like, I understand why you don't want to teach me this.
Yeah,
So
she feels she somehow guilted her into teaching
Yeah.
her. She
But
doesn't
it's
really
that thing
understand.
where you're like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? And then like the person starts doing it. You're like, okay, like I know, like you didn't really want to do it. So like,
you're
it's
just doing it
fine.
because I asked you to
Yes,
do it.
exactly.
Yeah. And of course, like, so now we have this extra layer where it's tied to Akemi, but of course it's been this very mentor-student thing throughout that I feel like is also part of Japanese cinema, or in a way where you have this technique,
Right.
and it's like once you master the technique, the
Yeah.
student becomes
The
the
master.
master. Kind of thing. So even without the tie to Akemi and her like not wanting to teach her in that respect, it is something that would have to wait to the end, which is sort of why it is fun that like, okay, she did learn to take it off
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season in Haunting of Amphipolis
Yeah.
due to reasons, but was never taught how to put it on, which
Right.
is like
The important part.
arguably the important part and the like more offensive part.
Right,
Not
the part
not
you could
offensive,
misuse.
offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
As like not that Akemi misused it, but
Well,
you
I
know.
mean, she learned from this lesson that like Xena teaches Akemi immediately goes and kills someone with it.
Right.
That's bad. But then like remember how Xena learned it from Malila and then killed a bajillion people
Yeah.
with it?
Yeah.
Like
Became-
it's bad.
It's
and
not
that's
great.
part of why she
Yeah.
knows of its potential to do
Yeah.
harm.
Yeah. But I think as well, like, knows and trusts Gabrielle at this point. And as we heard Akemi say the big lines of "Take me with you, teach me everything you know," of course Xena is thinking about this and in relation to Gabrielle, having said it when they first went off together. And so has that thing. She says, like, today more than ever, I want you to know what I know. And so we get this sequence.
I love the lighting for this sequence. Xena is sitting with her back to the light, so her face is somewhat in shadow, sort of twilight, if you'll allow.
Twilight.
And Gabs is in the light. So the light is, kind of, like, you get the sense that the sun is setting on Xena and dawning on Gabs.
Uh-oh. She puts the pinch with Gabs's hands on herself, and Gabs goes, "Why are you doing this?"
Why are you doing this? Oh, my God. Oh, God. Help. It's so intimate, too.
Yep.
One of those kind of scenes.
And, like, immediately the little bloody nose.
Mm-hmm, immediately, yeah. She goes, "Gabrielle, if I only had 30 seconds to live, this is how I'd want to live them, looking into your eyes."
And Gabs, like, shakes her and, like, is like, "Stop this. Stop it."
"Always remember, I love you."
So I loved Lucy Lawless's reading of this moment. I thought it was really meaningful. She thought this was Xena sort of wanting Gabs to bear witness to her death.
Mm-hmm. It's a run-through, she said.
The rehearsal of her death. She wanted to share that with Gabs because she knew she would die away from Gabs for real. So she wanted Gabs to, like, be a part of it in some way, and hence goes through.
But in a weird way, for herself, like, she wanted Gabs to be a part of it for herself.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
To look at those eyes.
To see Gabs look at her like Xena's dying. Yeah, to have that visual in her head.
Right,
for later.
Yeah. And so then now this is like a contested moment where the pinch comes off. I saw it as Xena doing it again with Gabs's fingers.
She is still holding them to her throat.
Yeah, but apparently, according to Lucy in the commentary, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be...
because Gabs is supposed to be doing it and knowing it, But I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. It just
I don't have a problem with it either.
Like, it looks like they're doing it together.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing everything together, and I'm fine with that. Yeah.
She's feeling she's cueing Gabs because this is still new to Gabs, but yeah, Gabs is certainly a part of it.
She already knows that part anyway.
She said that part anyway.
So then Gabs is like, "I don't get why you're teaching me this now." Personally, I think deep down she does know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why she's reacting this way.
Yeah.
She's more upset than she really ought to be. She can feel that something is, extra intense about this.
And then Xena's like, "I just wanted you to know everything I know."
And of course,
no big deal. No big deal.
After all these years of kind of talking about, Xena wringing her hands over, like, sort of being complicit in Gabs, like, learning and embracing violence. This is quite a thing to do, to, like, have Gabs kill her, to teach Gabs to kill on her own body, I feel is, kind of like the ultimate, even if it is like the last lesson that she needs to learn, there is something, again, sad, a big loss of innocence here, that she does that on the person she loves.
Yeah.
It also reminds me a little bit of the nosebleed sequence in Paradise Found. We have the little nosebleed here. Xena trying not to infect Gabs. Here she infects her.
Yeah.
She has to.
In the aired version, the next thing is Xena being like, "Okay, we got a battle to win, let's go." But in the director's cut, Ghostface Killah comes in being like, "Let's go do the battle."
In the room, yeah. Yeah.
So then they go outside. Gabs and Kenji are off to the East Plane. That's where Xena wants them. A group of Yodoshi's archers are going to gather there. And then, so they leave, and they go into the mist, and Xena steps out of the mist and watches them go. So she's wearing her full-blown new outfit.
We finally
absolutely
get a good look.
Gorgeous. Red boots, like red accent on the skirt and everything. Gold armor. I'm obsessed with this look. It's good.
What would you say is the, like, reference for the design? I get Wonder Woman vibes.
Oh, I was not thinking about that. I don't know. I thought it was its own thing.
Oh, yeah. Like Linda Carter?
Yeah, like the red, the full-on red and gold.
Well, it's definitely like Japanese, like sexy samurai is really what it is.
I don't know.
I definitely wasn't thinking about Wonder Woman
Yeah,
because that's such a specific
reference.
Amazonian look, like Greek, I think.
That's
so,
true. Yeah, this is different.
This is its own thing.
It has the samurai.
It's just sexy samurai, really. But I just love her in the new boots.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I do love that they've given her an outfit finally,
to match the sword.
Well, that isn't brown, something or black.
Yes,
something
it's very
I like the
stands
use of
out.
color.
Yes, exactly. She looks great. She's.
Oh, Philippe senses what's coming.
I know.
Phil.
Oh, gosh. What's going down, Phil?
We know, Phil. It's hard.
I know.
So she watches them walk off into the mist. I love this moment so much.
The mist?
No, just like Xena watching them like leave and how she just her face, the fact that it's like this wide shot, then we go into the close up and she literally walks off screen. Plus the music cue that we first heard when she rose up in the gauntlet all the way in Hercules. She's reborn Xena. And like this is the cue that we hear as she walks off to right this wrong. It's like I'm getting teary just like thinking about it. And then she walks off and to be continued.
To be continued. Yeah, that's the last. Well, I think the last of the broadcast version is a close-up of her face.
Yeah, it is. What is in the...
It's just like...
It just continues.
Yeah.
No, it's like the very good face.
Yeah.
Very good face.
I love that the cliffhanger here is sort of a subtle character moment. It's just Xena, watching this quietly. I really appreciate that it's nothing big or spectacular. I mean, it's very big and it's very spectacular, but in this quite subtle moment, I can't imagine how hard it was for people to deal with a week of waiting after just the look on that face.
Right. Is this a good time to talk about the mist, or should we save it?
No, let's talk about it.
There's more mist. We can talk about more later.
Yeah, it'll be in part 2 as well.
But I mean, like the mist is so integral to the concept of Sins of the Past, where the first shot of Xena is she looks as if she's coming out of the mist.
Yep.
But it's really the fires of her own making.
A village.
It's a village that she burned. The fires of a village that she burned. Yeah.
So full
As
circle.
a bookend of mist. Yes. Yeah. It's very good. Full circle.
Yeah. It's literally the sins of the past mist is here being a mist.
Very good.
Still. I love that she sends Gabs away and Gabs goes without question. I think there is, the trust here is really moving. It's not like a melodramatic moment. It's just, I need you to do this, Gabs, and Gabs is doing it.
Yeah.
It is another moment of Gabrielle deception, which
I know, and
fandom
this is
upset
not
about.
A thing that is well liked in some comments that you see. Yeah. But I also just I think she's done it before.
And she'll do it again.
I think, if she got an opportunity to do it again, she would do it again.
The thing is, if Gabrielle knew, Gabrielle would stop her.
Gabrielle would stop her, and she knows that. And they have had experiences in the past year. Like, they have died together already in the past. Things like that, of that nature, have already happened. And at the end of the day, there's some stuff, too, where maybe we will get into this later, but, this is just something that Xena needs to do. And she knows that Gabrielle is going to stop her. And so she has to send her somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that's as simple as it gets. Yeah. And it doesn't bother me, and it doesn't feel out of character to me. And I guess you could call it a moment of deceiving Gabrielle, but at the same time, I'm not mad at Xena for doing it, and I don't think that it's out of character for her to do.
Yeah, and it somehow doesn't feel like a violation of trust to me. No. It's not a lie. It is, going back to the method in which they got the fires out in Higuchi. They were doing things together, they split apart, and they'll come together again. I do feel like this is something that Xena, at this point in the story, still thinks is temporary, and she will find Gabrielle again.
And it's this is again, it is true that, like, sometimes it's like, yeah, we're at the series finale, so sometimes things get a little bit more intense. And that's just the way the storytelling is. Because I'm just like, okay, they've been involved in crazy plots before where Xena's like, I'm gonna go die. That's part of my plan at the beginning of the season, like in Coming Home. Yeah. And she's like, so you're gonna have to come and give me a TV CPR or else the plan won't work. So, like, part of my plan is that I'm gonna die. Sort of.
And then she also dies sort of in like, Haunting of Amphipolis, too.
Yeah.
Like, this happens a lot.
So like, to imbue the finale with more weight, yeah, it is, like, a lot heavier. I just don't have a problem with her wanting to do this on her own and to not wanting to be stopped and, like, not filling her in on this part of the plan. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as something that I need to scream at and call out of character. I don't know.
I think it's very in character.
Yeah. And it leads to this beautiful scene. And, the scene feels just so symbolic of everything that's happening in the story, which is Xena standing back and letting Gabs go off on her own.
Yeah.
And, seeing on her face everything that means for her in this moment. And even as it's upsetting and sad, there's also some consolation there because she's so proud of Gabs and trusts Gabs will be okay without her.
It's very good.
That's the end of the part one.
We did part one.
Yeah, we'll save all the more stuff we need to talk about for part two.
There's a lot in part two.
There's so much.
Again, our endless amount of episodes after that where we're probably going to talk about more and more.
Yeah, this is actually a good moment to remind people of the schedule.
Okay.
We are giving you a break in that we are not going to wait 2 weeks to post the next part. Next week, you will get Friend in Need part 2.
No waiting 1 week.
And then after that, we are going to do a wrap-up episode called
we didn't talk
The
about.
Great Unpinning.
The Great Unpinning.
The Great Unpinning, in which we unpin all the pins that we have been putting in the show up till this point. It'll probably be, a lot of, like, conversation about part 2 of the finale.
Yeah.
And since we don't want that podcast to be 6 hours long.
Right.
Yeah, this one was 3 hours.
This one's 3. So,
Over 3.
We're going to go through as we went through this episode, we'll go through episode 2. And as always, we'll talk about all the things that brings up. And then I think for sure we'll have a lot of, on the whole, discussion that can be its own episode, so that'll be after.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that after. So that is what you have to look forward to. Until then.
Okay.
All right, follow us on all the stuff and things.
We're on the internet at XenaWarriorPodcast.com, where you can find all the links. You can subscribe, rate, and leave reviews on Apple Podcasts. We love reading those. We're on Twitter at XenaWarriorPod, and on Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram, Xena Warrior Podcast.
The power!
The passion!
The podcast!